From any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented are its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Radio show Dominic, thank God it is Friday. The day after.
I wish today was over already, but I'm so excited to be with you once again, Crudy. We had a blast last night. We got a big show today.
Yeah, absolutely. Tremendously big show. Dom! The memo, the Nunez memo, the Noonan memo. It's
Danny.
out there. It's been released. And we're going to talk a lot about this. We're going to bring you sound. We're going to tell you what we think. But perhaps more importantly, Dom, we got a former U.S. attorney. He is Jim Santel, and he's going to join us at 4:30 today and give us hopefully a fine legal opinion on whether there's any there.
A lettuce sandwich, as
A
Congressman Mark
nothing
Pocan.
burger, Dom. So Jim Santel, 4:30 today. You'll have to stick around. Also, in the state of Wisconsin, we've got a similar witch hunt going on, right? It's been going on since the investigators started investigating the corruption of our governor, Scott Walker.
Doesn't it seem like locally here in Wisconsin, the Republicans back then and even now are sounding a lot like the Republicans on the national level with regards to this issue?
In some cases, I think it's the same Republicans. Only instead of coordinating with outside groups, outside corporations in violation of Wisconsin campaign finance laws, instead of cooperating or coordinating with, let's say, a foreign power in a treasonous way. Russia, I mean. You know Russia, right, Dom?
I've heard of that
They
country.
used to be our enemies.
Yeah.
They used to be the bad guys. And now they're part of the Republican establishment. I mean, they really are.
Our Republican establishment is part of the Russian conspiracy.
So, back to Wisconsin for just a minute. The entire, I believe, former Government Accountability Board
Almost.
has written a letter supporting the nonpartisan investigation of the corruption of our former governor, Scott Walker.
Former governor.
I wish he
Soon to
was
be
former.
former governor.
Well, it's the former GAB and retired judge David Deininger. He is going to join us at 3:30 today. Dom, you're right. There are parallels to be drawn.
Yeah.
Attack the investigators when you being the Republicans, be it federal or here in the state of Wisconsin, when you are guilty of some underlying criminality.
And claim that your constitutional rights are being violated. Why am I being persecuted? Well, maybe because you were doing things that you should not have been doing.
Guilty. We've got another fine guest. We saw him at the party last night. He's Tom Palewitz. He's a candidate for Wisconsin's 5th Congressional District. That's Jim Sensenbrenner currently. And I would point out, Dom, Sensenbrenner, he's part of this anti-FBI GOP cabal. He signed off on the release the Nunez memo letter.
Oh, yeah, the pro-Russian memo that he signed off on as well. He becomes part of the problem.
He kind of looks like a Russian ambassador.
Sort of
of
the
fleshy,
Sergeys. Yeah.
Very pale, could use
Yeah.
some sun.
Looks like he's been in that job a little too long.
Well, we'll have Tom Palewitz here on Brady Street in the happy hour, the 4 o'clock happy hour. And let's not forget, the show goes longer now, Dom. I know you're feeling a little down, a little tired, a little beat up from the party last night.
I'll survive.
We'll talk more about the party. We'll acknowledge many of the fine attendees there. I mean, let's just do it now, Dom. What the hell? We'll get to the memo. You'll stick around.
It was so much fun last night.
It was perhaps the best radio party that this radio station's ever thrown. But maybe the best one we've ever thrown, Dom.
Yeah, I would think. Thank you so much to the Roman Coin for hosting us. Thank you, everybody, for coming down. The place was packed. And I don't know if it's the super cool radio thing we do or the free beer we were giving away.
But if they weren't listening to the radio, they wouldn't have known we were giving away the free beer. Can it be both?
Yeah, maybe it was both. So thank you, everyone who came out. And there were a lot of people, of course.
A lot of candidates, too.
Yeah, some candidates came out. That was
And
awesome.
they were not specifically invited. I mean, they were welcome. And they drank their beers. But, I mean, I'm talking top of the ticket down. We had Malin Mitchell. He's running for governor. We had Tim Burns. He's running for Wisconsin Supreme Court. Top Halewitz, as we mentioned, he was there. He's a congressional candidate. And then on the state level, Dom, I hate to leave anybody out, but I saw Chris Rockwood. I saw Chris Rolfe. I saw Jonathan Brostoff. I saw Kari Pennybaker, who's a DNC figure.
Yeah, Curry came in.
Who else did we see, Dom? I know I'm going to forget people, but a lot of fine candidates were there. You haven't remembered any of them yet.
But I had so much fun talking to the listeners and meeting folks. And, really, it does. It means a lot when people come up and you don't know them, but they know your voice and they know the show and the products. And
Which one are you,
here.
they'd ask
Yeah,
you.
we get confused a lot. People think that, with the long hair that I'm the uber liberal like you, Crudy. But when people come up and say that, they listen, they really appreciate what we're doing and thank you for the voice. And really, and saying it with heart, it means so very much, and it was certainly worth it, and we had just a fantastic time.
Yes. Partay. And one more quick note, Dom. Nothing goes better on a Devil's Advocate WRD 1510 AM first anniversary party hangover better than Cajun food. I'd point out we had Cajun. We brought Cajun in, our new sponsor on the Bayou. Some that listened during the course of the day would know that I was there doing a live hit earlier today. Hell, I've been working all day, Dom. I was up. I was on Earl's show, the in portion, but I was there.
You made it, man.
And I was on the Bayou, and I brought back, because I try to be a good guy, I brought back lunch for the whole office. And this is going to be your new Friday tradition, religion, Cajun on Friday. Free delivery in the Metro for Devil's Advocate /WRD 1510 AM listeners. And I brought back gumbo, lots of gumbo.
Oh, my.
Almost a sexual experience for some.
It was great.
I had the grits and shrimp. And, the shrimp are a little spicy, so the grits grab that flavor.
Yeah, I couldn't do it today, Crudy. I love me some spice, but after an evening last night with some lakefront East Side Dark, a few of those, and then topping that off with some tequila, I just had to go with like a ham sandwich today.
You and Scott Walker both. So anyways, thanks for the party, everyone. Made it a great time, and I got to say, that's best party I've had in 2018.
Absolutely.
And I had a Christmas party like a week earlier, and I had a hell of a lot more fun last night. No offense to my friends in Madison at the prior party. You hate to rate them. You hate to acknowledge or the ones that aren't there, but they're not really missed.
If you're not there.
Dom, back to this memo release. This was...
Memogate. Worse than Watergate.
The memo. You read the memo.
I did read the memo.
So you tell me, because I did not read the memo. I read excerpts at the Associated Press.
Here's the problem, my problem with the memo. It just leaves too many unanswered questions and leaves a whole lot of things open to interpretation. Again, knowing that the Republicans released this, and they could have waited a few days and let the Democratic response, their memo, come out to provide a different point of view on what the facts may or may not be. So, of course, it's a political game. And as I heard on the cable news today, Putin's got to be happy. If Russia's goal was to sow discontent within our society, well, Trump is leading it. The Republicans are taking it hook, line, and sinker, and they are, in fact, certainly attacking, the pillars of our society.
Well, my understanding, that memo, not much longer than a Scott Walker jobs plan.
Twice as long, which was 4 pages.
But my eyes are a little blurry today.
Yeah.
Need my cheater readers. I didn't have them, so I skipped reading the memo. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. Big show, as we mentioned, all the way top to bottom. And it's going to start building from here. But as you mentioned, that's your opinion. But what's Trump think about this memo? This is something he wanted awfully bad, right? He wants to undermine the credibility of the FBI and perhaps the Mueller investigation. Maybe we're just seeing the Friday preview to the Saturday night massacre. I bet you Rosenstein gone. I bet you Christopher Wray, he may fall on his own sword, but I think we got a bloody constitutional battle coming because Christopher Wray, Trump's own FBI director, didn't want this memo out there. The only one that wanted this memo out there was Devin Nunes in the colluding Donald Trump. So let's hear what Trump's opinion is before we take our first break of the day. Cut 80, Fancy Brian.
I sent it over to Congress. They will do what they're going to do. Whatever they do is fine. It was declassified. And let's see what happens. But a lot of people should be ashamed.
You, sir, should be ashamed. Devin Nunes should be ashamed. Yeah, a lot of people should be ashamed.
They're going to do whatever it is that they do because I don't know Jack, because I'm Donald Trump, but they're going to do what they do because that's what they do.
Let's play cut 81. You know, it's a disgrace, Tom.
I think it's terrible. You want to know the truth? I think it's a disgrace. What's going on in this country, I think it's a disgrace.
Yeah, me too. Ever since you got elected.
Could he say it a few more times? Is it a disgrace, Trump?
Shame.
What you are doing, what you are leading. Trump is leading this effort.
Now, Trump also said, you know, this next quote, the memo, you should be ashamed. Now, is he talking about Nunes? Anyone that would fall for this gullibly, like apparently he has, but he wants it to be true, or at least he wants it to be obfuscating. But most of all, he wants a rationale to fire Rod Rosenstein, I suspect. And then we would all be ashamed because it will cause a constitutional crisis. I'd give it about 48 hours, folks. Cut 82.
A lot of people should be ashamed of themselves, and much worse than that.
And much worse than that?
Who's going to get fired? What's the next domino to fall?
I get it, and we'll go there. But will someone tell me what that means? You should be ashamed of yourself, and much worse than that.
Waterboarding and worse? You know, there's shameful moments, and then there's downright disgraceful moments. And apparently Trump thinks somebody crossed the line. I think it was Donald Trump, quite frankly.
But the Republicans are still coming out. Even to this day, today, Speaker of the House Paul Ryan again reaffirmed his statements from yesterday that this release has no bearing on the Mueller investigation.
You know what? I'm not throwing any parties next year because I see Fancy Brian yawning in there. The entire staff has been worthless today.
What are you talking about?
Well, you're worthless every day, buddy.
Hey,
come to expect it. Hey, you turn that up again, you'll be ex-staff. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. It's Friday. We air grievances. I'm starting to rack them up rapidly around here. Our phone line's open, 844-967-2789. Everyone's just a little tired, a little off. So you better do the heavy lifting for us. And we'll drop some of Will Durst, Milwaukee's own.
330009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
If you're like a lot of companies, you know you need IT, but you aren't sure where to start. That's where Five9s comes in. Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO. For almost 15 years, Five9s has been providing IT solutions to companies just like yours. We'll show you the solutions that are right for your business and give you the roadmap to success in the future. Find us at five9s.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
My name is Adam Holmes, and I'm proud to be union.
Adam, you're Director of Training for Painters District Council 7. What do you do?
I'm making sure that we're investing in our members. We're providing the safest and best trained painters, glazers, drywall, because it costs less to be safe. We keep the contractor on the right side of OSHA and help keep the workman's comp rates affordable. Join us, Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
That guy is a scary son of a gun, and I hope people start paying attention and get him the heck out of there, because he's like a big fascist general that's controlling our state, and then our attorney general. Wow, that guy ought to be locked up himself. I mean, he makes the sheriff of Milwaukee look kind of saintly.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I'm not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more. It's a no-brainer. I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Dom and Crute special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamsters strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years. Assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org. Or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
Kick it! We are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio 1510 AM WRRD. We're streaming live on YouTube. We're on Facebook streaming as well on Twitter at Devil Radio. And on the phones, toll-free nationwide. We air grievances on Friday, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, we mentioned the birthday party last night. I can tell you this. We progressives, we know how to party. I don't know about those Republicans. They party different than we do. But we get down, we have a good time. We fight for our right to party and vote and lots of other issues. But mostly party around here.
Well, can't you do both?
Our friend Will Durst, he's a comedian extraordinaire. He does commentary for us on Fridays, Dom, and we'd like to share it with our audience. While there's time, we'll keep winding up on Trump. We're going to have lots of action. As I mentioned, Judge David Deininger, former GAB board member, he joins us at 3:30. Tom Paleswitz, a candidate, Wisconsin 5th Congressional District, joins us on Brady at 4:06, and former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel, he's going to help us understand this Nunes nothing burger of a memo. We'll see if Jim's got a bigger impression of this, but this is nothing. This is a dud. There is no there. I agree with Mark Pocan, although I have not read the memo.
But that's what you think.
Truth be known, I haven't read it, but I suspect there's no there.
I did read it, Crudy.
Because I don't see any big there.
Well, listen, I get the point, but let's get to Durst and we'll get back to the memo.
Our buddy Will Durst, comedian extraordinaire for WRD 1510 AM's only for us. For you, our fine audience. Play it for the people. You know, it's Friday, man. I'm a little tired.
Hey, guys. Will Durst here with a few choice words about Donald J. Trump's recent statement that he wants to work with Democrats. Yeah, right. He wants to work with them the same way a 5-year-old with a magnifying glass wants to work with ants. The way a coyote wants to negotiate with a nest of baby ducks. It's amazing how people continue to pore over his words looking for clues to what they mean, when they don't mean anything. The man never tells the truth. Pundits keep pointing out, oh, but previously he said this, and let's not forget when he said that. Go ahead, forget it. Apparently, they haven't noticed that if the muse moves him, he will reverse course and adopt a totally different position, 180 degrees, in a New York minute. Sometimes during the same interview. You can't make a plan based on what comes out of his mouth because it doesn't matter what he says. He will say anything to anyone at any time. to get what he wants. Whatever helps at that moment, to buy him time, to distract, to protect a deal, to create confusion, make himself look better. You get the feeling that even if he said he was lying, he'd be lying. Remember how he was going to release his tax returns? He never planned to release his tax returns. Saying he would was a stall. Soon people started asking other questions and totally forgot about his tax returns. And so on and so on. So when the president says he not only is going to testify under oath in the Robert Mueller investigation, but that he's looking forward to it, he doesn't mean it. That's what people want to hear. He'll change his mind, guaranteed. The man has the integrity of a drunken weasel. He would rather lie than eat ice cream. And he likes ice cream. For WRRD 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, I'm Will Durst.
Thank you, Will Durst.
What do you
Funny guy.
think Trump enjoys more, sex or lying? Or lying about sex?
Well, lying, of course. It probably does it a whole lot more often and does it for a little longer.
Hashtag sad. Come back with us, Devil's Advocates. It's Friday. We air grievances. Phone lines open to you. 844-96-PARTY. That's 844-967-2789.
Because now I see the destructive power of a lie. They're stronger than truth.
Hello, I'm State Senator LaTanya Johnson. Making sure Wisconsin residents continue to have equal and fair access to voting is very important to me. Here are some key things you should know. Wisconsin requires a photo ID, and chances are you already have what you need to vote. A Wisconsin DMV issued driver's license. You can use this even if it's revoked or suspended. A Wisconsin DMV issued identification card. A military ID issued by the U.S. Uniformed Services, or a U.S. passport book or card. You can use these items even if they're expired, as long as the expiration date is after the most recent general election held on November 8, 2016. For more information about registering to vote, please visit myvote.wi.gov or call the Wisconsin Election Commission Help Desk at 608-261-2028. We won't be taken for granted.
This message was brought to you by WRRD 1510 AM. You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. When Wisconsin Republican Brad Schimmel,
I don't have a lot of expertise,
decided to run for Wisconsin Attorney General,
I don't even know my own website address.
Even some conservatives questioned his ability.
You can always say no to a request for an interview, and I kind of wish Mr. Schimmel had said no. I don't think he was ready for that.
Schimmel claims to be all about law and order.
You start with the default position that yes, you will enforce the laws.
Apparently, even if that means enforcing a 1960s-style ban on interracial marriage.
It might be distasteful to me, but I've got to stay consistent with that as the state's lawyer. It's not my job to pick and choose.
Wisconsin deserves a competent attorney general.
We've got to go.
Yes, Brad Schimmel, you do got to go. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
31? 13?
We took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted. He realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
It's a lot easier to measure how many times students use a semicolon correctly in an essay.
Educated educators talking education.
Than it is to measure how many wonderful ideas are in that essay.
Busted Pencils.
There is no teacher shortage.
With Dr. Tim Slecker.
There is a teacher exit.
Featuring Matt Damon's mom.
You want to know what my mom would say?
We've had an intrusion into education.
Busted Pencils Radio. Saturdays at 11 on Resistance Radio.
Good afternoon. It is 2:32 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Here's some headlines. The Milwaukee area Republican lawmakers are at odds with Governor Walker over the expansion of Interstate 94 between the Marquette and Zoo interchanges. Legislators want to revive the plan that would rebuild the stretch of highway, but Governor Walker says drivers want a break from construction. Former manager of the Milwaukee County Transit System says she was ordered to lie to Dontre Hamilton's brother about the reason he was being passed over for a job cleaning county buses, according to the Journal Sentinel. And the Bucks lost the Timberwolves last night. They will host the Knicks tonight. Tonight, slight chance of snow, lows around 12 degrees, and tomorrow, snow likely, about an inch of accumulation possible, highs in the low 30s. And Super Bowl Sunday, mostly cloudy and windy, highs in the upper teens. Currently 19 in Milwaukee and 15 in Waukesha for 1510 a.m. My name is Brian Kelly.
The Devil's Advocates. Political commentary from the back of the class.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Super Bowl Friday, I suppose. The only thing more despicable than Donald Trump or the complicit, treasonous Republicans that would help hide the evidence of this collusion.
The New England Patriots?
And their fans. That's about the only thing worse, to my humble opinion.
I'm right here. I can hear
We're
you.
not encouraging you to speak. You stay in the penalty box over there, big fella. You just rubbed the sleep out of your eyes and yawn it off. Kept him up a little too late last night as well.
I chose.
You chose. Yeah, no kidding. No one was making you stay till late in the wee hours. Fortunately, I didn't have to drive. So, it was nice to get up early-ish, get on the Earl Show, go do a live hit from
another full
On the
day,
Bayou.
man. It just never stops, man.
And then bring our audience another, perhaps the greatest Friday show ever, at least the greatest Friday show ever after our one-year anniversary
After
party.
the greatest one-year anniversary party ever.
Dom, let's get back to this Nunez memo. Now, here's an interesting cat, this Malfoy guy, Trey Gowdy, apparently not running for re-election. And at thehill.com, Max Greenwood, they're reporting Nunez memo does not discredit Mueller's probe in any way. Well, that's exactly what Donald Trump wants it to do. But here's what Trey Gowdy said. The Republican from South Carolina, Trey Gowdy, said Friday that the release of a controversial memo by Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee does not discredit or undermine Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian meddling in the 2016 election. That's arguable. In a series of tweets, Gowdy, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, said that the memo, which alleges abuses by the Justice Department and FBI officials, was of interest to the public, but he also said that he still has confidence in the overwhelming majority of men and women in federal law enforcement.
Now, here's the actual tweets from his stream, Curdy, a couple of them, 3 exactly. Here's what he says. It's important for the American public to know if the dossier was paid for by another candidate, used in court proceedings, vetted before it was used, vetted after it was used, and whether all relevant facts were shared with the tribunal approving of the FISA application. While this memo raises serious concerns with the FISA process, I have been and remain confident in the overwhelming majority of the men and women serving the FBI and the DOJ. As I have said repeatedly, I also remain 100% confident in Special Counsel Robert Mueller. The contents of this memo do not in any way discredit his investigation.
And my question would be, Dom, and we brought this up the other day, are you talking about the Christopher Steele dossier or perhaps reportedly a second confirming dossier?
What?
As TheGuardian.com reports, Stephanie Kirkgessner and Nick Hopkins, the FBI inquiry into alleged Russian collusion in the 2016 U.S. presidential election has been given a second memo that independently set out some of the same allegations made in a dossier by Christopher Steele, the British former spy. The second memo was written by Cody Shearer, a controversial political activist and former journalist who was close to the Clinton White House in the 90s. Unlike Steele, Shearer does not have a background in espionage, and his memo was initially viewed with skepticism, but not least because he had shared it with select media organizations before the election. However, The Guardian has been told The FBI investigation is still assessing details in the Scheer memo and is pursuing intriguing leads. One source with knowledge of the inquiry said the fact that the FBI was still working on it suggested investigators had taken an aspect of it seriously. It raises the possibilities that part of the Steele dossier, which have been or has been derided by Trump supporters, may have been corroborated by Scheer's research or could still be, Dom.
I'm going to jump forward in this article, Crudy. The Scheer memo was provided to the FBI in October of 2016. It was handed to them by Steele, who had been given it by an American contact after the FBI requested the former MI6 agent provide any documents or evidence that could be useful in its investigation, according to multiple sources. The Guardian was told Steele warned the FBI he could not vouch for the veracity of the Scheer memo, but that he was providing a copy because it corresponded with what he had separately heard from his own independent sources. Among other things, both documents allege Donald Trump was compromised during a 2013 trip to Moscow that involved lewd acts in a 5-star hotel.
Please do tell. What sort of lewd acts?
The Scheer memo cites an unnamed source within Russia's FSB, the State Security Service. The Guardian cannot verify any of the claims. Scheer is a controversial figure in Washington. Conservative outlets have accused him of being part of a hatchet man and a member of a secret spy ring within the Clinton orbit. There is no evidence that Clinton campaign was aware of the Scheer memo, but other people who know Scheer say he is not just a Democratic Party hack, and there is no evidence that his memo was ever sought by Clinton campaign officials.
Sources say that while he lacks the precision and polish of seasoned former spy like Steele, Scheer has also been described as having a large network of sources around the world and the independent financial means to pursue leads. The White House has vigorously denied allegations that the U.S. president was ever compromised. Well, I bet he denied it to Melania, too.
No doubt. Wasn't me.
Wasn't me. I mean, isn't this just the Shaggy defense?
Wasn't me.
Isn't this what didn't Bill Clinton?
Wasn't me.
Depends what the definition of is. Well, I don't think there's anything so subtle about Trump. No, it just wasn't me, right? But now we've got two independent reports, Tom. And I know it is the effort of the Nunes memo to undermine the Steele memo. They're saying, well, this Steele memo, this thing's fictional. It's not worth the paper it's written on, or something to that effect. And if that triggered this FISA warrant against Carter Page, well, then that compromises the entire investigation of Donald Trump, apparently. But, Dom, I noted something today. Carter Page was under prior FISA warrant all the way back to 2013. He didn't work for Donald Trump then. There was no partisanship driving the FISA memo back then or the FISA warrant, right? And FISA warrants have to be renewed every 90 days. So if you get a FISA warrant and there's no evidence that it is producing, you cannot get another FISA warrant. So I suspect that Carter Page perhaps was compromised. I suspect that Nunes dropped a big nothing burger. The only thing he effectively compromised was maybe his own freedom. Because I think Nunes could end up on the receiving end of the Crowbar Hotel down. Club bed. I mean, Nunes has really jumped in, and I'm not clear that Ron Johnson
put this on Nunes. I mean, this is most of the Republicans, man. I mean, the Republicans
and it's
are
Paul
down.
Ryan.
Yes, they're down for this.
But Nunes is actually the agent that's out there actively doing this. The fact that Paul Ryan has not stopped him makes him complicit. The fact that Ron Johnson's acting, of his own volition, or perhaps under the pressure of the White House to run his own smoke screens, his own cover. So what happens next, Dom? What happens next? What is this, all this histrionics and political kabuki theater about this memo, which is really a whole lot of nothing, just reason and rationale for Sean Hannity to further undermine the Mueller investigation? Well, he was going to do that anyways. So what's the point? Why is this any different than any other day when Trump tweets? I think because it sets the stage for a Saturday night massacre. And to my memory, Dom, it's Friday afternoon.
There's so much in that, Curdy. I was just.
How about the Trump quote? What did Trump, the president? One does not have to wonder very long. I mean, he went on Lester Holt. He told us he was obstructing justice. He fired James Comey to relieve the pressure of the Russian investigation. I mean, he effectively confessed on national TV. Everything from there on has been political kabuki theater. But Donald Trump today said what? He was asked if he had confidence in Rod Rosenstein. Now, this is the deputy AG. And of course, we know Jeff Sessions had to recuse himself. So effectively, Rosenstein.
And according to the memo, Rosenstein signed one or more of the FISA applications on behalf of the DOJ.
And Rosenstein, of course, is also Mueller's boss, the only one that could directly fire Mueller under current circumstance. So Trump's got to take him out. And I think this Nunes, this whole memo, this is all about firing Rod Rosenstein. It may inadvertently trigger, Christopher Wray's own resignation. But ultimately, the goal is to fire Mueller, and that will come after Rosenstein, maybe in very quick succession. And in fact, Trump's team saying that perhaps they should investigate and prosecute Mueller. Sounds like Wisconsin Republicans.
It's the same playbook. Cut number 83, Trump asked if he has confidence in Rosenstein.
Does it make you more likely to fire Rosenstein? Do you still have confidence in him after reading the memo?
You figure that one out.
Nice answer, non-answer, which is the answer is hell yeah, he's going to fire him.
I don't have it readily at hand. Dom, can you help me out quickly? Can you pull up the Trump tweet from earlier today?
Stand by.
And I'll tell you what, I'll pull up a few of the talking points the DNC is rolling out today while you look for the precise tweet that he sent out. The Nunes memo, this according to the DNC sent to me this afternoon, the Nunes memo has been revealed to be a massive dud and nothing more than a sloppy attempt to discredit the FBI's investigation of Trump's campaign ties to Russia. Here are a few key takeaways from today's release. The memo is a dud that marks Devin Nunes in the White House's second failed and self-defeating attempt to play games with classified information to tell lies about the Russian investigation. The central assertion of the memo, that the dossier was responsible for the FISA warrant on Carter Page, has already been reported as untrue. And within minutes of the memo's release, people who understand and have experience with FISA warrants, including former Republican House Intelligence Chairman Mike Rogers, come away convinced that the FBI and House Intelligence Democrats were correct in their condemnation of the memo as inaccurate and misleading. There's more here, but what did Trump tweet at Rosenstein?
5:33 a.m. this morning from the president. Quote, the top leadership and investigators of the FBI and the Justice Department have politicized the sacred investigative process in favor of Democrats and against Republicans, something which would have been unthinkable just a short time ago. Rank and file are great people.
Great people? What? The top leadership investigators at the FBI and Justice Department. Well, they're your employees. He's talking about Rosenstein. He did everything short of naming him by name as a targeted, soon-to-be-fired individual. And, of course, why fire Rosenstein? Because you want to get to Mueller. Mueller will come next. One more from the DNC. Their talking points, I think these bear more accuracy than the Nunes memo. Republicans have repeatedly and falsely claimed that the Steele dossier was the basis for the FBI's investigation of Trump's ties to Russia. But the memo itself, the Nunes memo, according to the DNC, admits that the investigation was launched because of information unrelated to the dossier or the FISA warrant on Carter Page. In other words, in trying to push the false narrative that the Russia investigation cannot be trusted because the dossier served as its foundation, Devin Nunes in the White House have managed to confirm that the investigation began because of information unrelated to Steele's information. Take a break, or you want more talking points?
Let's bring a little bit more out.
I got a couple more, shorter ones. There are clearly other details of the application for Page's FISA warrant that are not included in the memo. It omits the fact that Page had been on the FBI's counterintelligence radar for years and had been put under previous FISA warrant as early as 2013. Now, I made that point before, Dom. That hardly seems like partisanship directed towards a Trump campaigner, right?
It went back in
2013. One more while I got time here. The memo focuses on a FISA warrant on the Carter Page issued in October of 2016, which was almost 4 months after the FBI actually began its investigation, and after Page was already gone from the Trump campaign, undercutting the memo's mission to imply that the investigation was a key factor in the genesis of the investigation. Catch all that? Page
It was gone
didn't
by
get
then.
served with the FISA warrant until after he left the Trump campaign and until 4 months after the investigation had sprung up. So the FISA warrant, predicated on the Steele dossier, which is contradicted by this Nunes memo, does not accomplish what it's supposed to do, except to give a rationale to Donald Trump to fire Rosenstein, and then soon thereafter to fire Robert Mueller. I am afraid we're going to have a Saturday Night Massacre, and I'd say maybe this weekend, on Super Bowl weekend, because everyone might otherwise be, watching some football and some commercials.
No one's going to watch the Patriots this weekend.
No one of conscience will. Come back with us, Devil's Advocates Radio Show. You got any Friday grievances? I got a lot of problems with this administration. 844-967-2789.
I'm really not involved with the Justice Department. I'd like to let it run itself.
Did you get that memo?
I don't know if this sends a message. It doesn't make any difference if it does or not.
And I'll go ahead and make sure you get another copy of that memo.
I don't stand by anything. I just, you can take it the way you want.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
I needed an attorney because I was injured at work. I wanted to find a reputable attorney. The results that I got with Lawton and Cates were very good. I'm very happy with the way I was treated and the end result that I got.
Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton and Cates. 282-6200. 282-6200.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
He is Mark Thompson. He is the chair of the Wisconsin Elections Commission.
When the leader of the Senate acts like a king rather than an elected representative and won't even give a hard-working person a hearing before he asks for his head on a plate, that is being a bully. So this is not, this is just stating the facts. No fake news here.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 a.m., Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the radio show your mother warned you about. Tom and Kreutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Happy Friday. We air grievances 844-967-2789.
Dominic, the market's nearly closed. The Dow down 654 as I speak, about 2.5% today.
Whew.
And I thought there was a positive jobs report. My understanding, wages up, something that Trump could crow about. But of course, Wall Street doesn't like it when the working stiff gets ahead.
Well, it could be an indicator of rising inflation as well.
When's the last time we had any inflation in anything other than healthcare expense?
It's been some time.
You know, broadly across the marketplace. Dom, it's been a while since we took a phone call. We do Friday grievances. Mark's been holding 844-967-2789. Mark, welcome to the show. What were you doing cheating on us with Thom Hartmann earlier today?
Well, I got a key. Well, you must have been listening too, or somebody was listening that I was there. But my grievances is the lack of intelligence in the head of the Intelligence Committee there, because everything that he spouted was simply stuff that I've heard come out of Fox News, and one has to wonder that this is the best they can come up with. This is the thing that they are just all excited about. I mean, that is just.
This is it. I guess, you know, and here's the thing. I mean, I think a lot of people could, consider and say, hey, if these secret courts, can get a warrant for any reason, you went to the bathroom stall and you saw the Devil's Advocate sticker and you say, I don't like those guys. And so they went in front of a judge and got a warrant and started, tapping your phones and tailing you. And I can understand how, people who love their individual liberty, perhaps, Mark, could be concerned about that. But I don't see that necessarily happening in this case. And, of course, they release this on a political motivation. They don't let the Dems respond in time, in
real time.
Right, so they got to wait for the process to go through. So it's not about being intelligent. I think they're very intelligent. Well, they are intelligent enough to do the bidding of Donald Trump and whoever Donald Trump is doing the bidding for.
Probably Putin.
But my understanding is what should be broadcast more thoroughly is this dossier, the investigation for this dossier started out under a Republican campaign during the primary.
Yeah, correct. Financed by Paul Singer, a big campaign donor of Scott Walker's. And I would remind people early in 2015, after the Iowa Freedom Summit, no one thought Donald Trump was going to be the eventual nominee. They all thought Scott Walker would be. And Paul Singer had already given Walker, I believe, $250,000 during the recall. I wouldn't be at all shocked. And let's not forget the unique guy who got out and said, I didn't know anything about it. Mark, Scott Walker claims he doesn't know anything about it, but his big funder, Paul Singer, funded the original Fusion GPS, the original dossier.
And that's not mentioned, as you claim, and I saw this, Mark. That little fact is not mentioned whatsoever in this memo that it was initially funded by Republicans.
Well, that's why they're not letting the Democrats release theirs, because that's what would be probably brought up there. And maybe Mr. Mueller needs to say, well, okay, let's find out who funded this originally. If it is our fair governor, let that.
Well, Walker doesn't have any money. It was Paul Singer, one of Walker's funders, The Wall Street Journal reporting today, you know, those FBI agents, Strzok and Page, texts show no anti-Trump conspiracy. That's according to Rupert Murdoch's liberal rag, the Wall Street Journal.
Folks, come on, man. Isn't there a conspiracy? I mean, we heard his GAC chair. He's got witnesses, man.
In the Wall Street Journal review of more than 7,000 text messages, the newspaper found no evidence of conspiracy against Mr. Trump. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Hour 2's next. Come back with us. Join us on the phone. Your grievances welcome. 844-967-2789.
Wall Street hates it like the devil hates holy water.
Sign on with the devil.
Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster.
And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and puts his helmet on and he gets off and he makes a speech, but, you know, he's always riding like, you know, he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy. Okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5 million, and this one, you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know,
I'm using facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Hello, I'm State Senator LaTanya Johnson. Making sure Wisconsin residents continue to have equal and fair access to voting is very important to me. Here are some key things you should know. Wisconsin requires a photo ID, and chances are you already have what you need to vote. A Wisconsin DMV issued driver's license. You can use this even if it's revoked or suspended. A Wisconsin DMV issued identification card. A military ID issued by the U.S. Uniformed Services, or a U.S. passport book or card. You can use these items even if they're expired, as long as the expiration date is after the most recent general election held on November 8, 2016. For more information about registering to vote, please visit myvote.wi.gov or call the Wisconsin Election Commission Help Desk at 608-261-2028. We won't be taken for granted.
This message was brought to you by WRRD 1510 AM. You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee.
Special report, GOP memo released. The White House is supporting the release of a document from House Republicans alleging surveillance abuses by the FBI and the Justice Department. Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders says the memo raises concerns about high-level anti-Trump bias within the federal government. A one-time top intelligence leader has reacted to the GOP memo.
Former FBI Director James Comey is downplaying the impact of the GOP memo, tweeting, "That's it?" He calls the memo dishonest and misleading and charges it destroyed trust within the intelligence community, damaged the relationship with the secret FISA court, and inexcusably exposed classified information. Jerry Bodlander, Washington.
Democrats have slammed the memo as an effort by Republicans to discredit special counsel Robert Mueller's probe into Russian meddling in the election and any Trump campaign ties to the Kremlin, and that the document fails to provide much-needed context to the intelligence. I'm Ann Cates. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is headed for its steepest weekly drop in 2 years. Correspondent Allison Cossack reports a much better than expected update on the job sector has sparked jitters among investors worried about interest rate hikes.
If you start raising rates faster, it becomes more expensive to borrow money, and eventually you see people pulling back on how much they're going to be spending. That, in turn, affects companies that are listed on the stock market exchanges.
On Wall Street at the close, the Dow Jones Industrial Average down 672 points. Only 8 times in history has the Dow closed down more than 600 points. The S&P off by 60, the Nasdaq down 145 points. The father of 3 of the victims of disgraced sports doctor Larry Nassar will not be charged after trying to attack the sexual abuse suspect today in a Michigan courtroom. Randall Margraves says he was a distraught father and that his emotions got the best of him during a sentencing hearing. I'm Ann Cates.
Businesses today thrive and survive with technology. At Five Nines, we provide businesses with the IT tools they need to stay relevant. We offer enterprise-level solutions at competitive prices. I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Let us manage your IT so you can focus on more important things, like running your business. Check us out at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
I got to tell you, so when I first moved to Green Bay to play football in 92, I had never been to Wisconsin. But the funniest thing I thought, you could not buy hamburger patties without a dollop of butter on them.
Folks, just so you know, if you take a little bit of herb butter and put it in the middle of a patty and just kind of mold it around there, you get magic.
I have one of my arteries right now.
How much did you say you weighed?
I'm gaining weight with my thoughts right now.
You're $3 and some change already, brother.
Guns Butter Economics, 414 Wisconsin, weekdays 9 to 11 a.m. on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
A top sports agent says some baseball players may boycott spring training.
Brody Van Wagenen, who is the co-head of an agency that represents more than 150 big league players, said players are outraged and frustrated at the slow rate at which free agents are being signed this offseason. Many of the top free agents are still available less than 2 weeks before spring training is set to begin, including top hitters J.D. Martinez and Eric Hosmer, as well as pitchers Yu Darvish and Jake Arrieta. Van Wagenen hints that collusion may be involved, saying the lack of signings by big league front offices, quote, feels coordinated, rightly or wrongly. I'm John Stolnis.
Actor and screenwriter Paul Rudd is a star of a comedic roast as he picks up his 2018 Man of the Year award from the nation's oldest collegiate theatrical organization at Harvard University. The Ant-Man star will receive the Hasty Pudding honor today. Actress Mila Kunis was celebrated as Woman of the Year last week. I'm Ann Cates.
I'm Andy Buck, and I'm proud to be union.
Tell me about the underground economy.
Well, the underground economy is essentially workers being exploited, and they're being exploited all over the state. They're working for no benefits, no retirement, and if you don't join your brothers and sisters, you don't respect your craft.
Andy, why should I hire union?
Crudy, you should hire union because you want the job done right the first time. We represent the highest skilled, safety-trained workers in the industries that we represent. Glazers, painters, and drywall finishers. Join us. Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Listen and imagine. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, and for those 5 seconds, you're driving blind. Life is worth more than a text. Stay alive. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Good afternoon. It is 3:05 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. After being highly criticized for saying there is a secret society in the FBI, Senator Ron Johnson is now requesting all documents, emails, and text messages from 16 DOJ and FBI officials, including former Director James Comey and former Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. Milwaukee area Republican lawmakers are at odds with Governor Walker over the expansion of Interstate 94 between the Marquette and Zoo interchanges. Legislators want to revive the plan that would rebuild the stretch of the highway, but Governor Walker says drivers want a break from construction. Tonight, a slight chance of snow, lows around 12 degrees. Tomorrow, snow likely about an inch of accumulation possible, highs in the low 30s. Currently, we're looking at 19 degrees in Milwaukee and sunny, and 15 in Waukesha. For 1510 a.m., my name is Brian Kelly.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, hour 2 of 3.5, Dom.
Oh, damn.
What a great day to pick to extend our broadcast calendar. It made a lot of sense last night on the first day of the month.
Not so
but
much
the day after
on the first Friday of the month.
The day after the first party of the year. Seems like it might be a long shift for some.
Come on. It'll go so much faster, so much better if our audience will participate with us. Join us. Air your grievances today, 844-967-2789. You got to do it now because the back half of this show is stacked.
Yeah, that's true. And Dom's not capable of doing heavy lifting, so you're going to have to. Let's jump into a piece. Of course, the Trump memo. It's all over the cable news. It's all over this show because we got to talk about it. Let's parse, according to Jennifer Rubin at the Post, right turn, conservative writer, although we find ourselves quoting her because she demonstrates integrity, Dom. But here's what she says. Let's parse what Trump is telling us about the Nunes memo. President Trump paving the way for the harshly criticized memo drafted by conspiracy-mongering House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes tweets, "The top leadership and investigators of the FBI and Justice Department have politicized the sacred investigative process in favor of Democrats and against Republicans, something which would have been unthinkable just a short time ago." And then I love how Trump ends his tweet, Dom. "Rank and file are great people." Like, I'm with the working stiffs at the FBI.
Just not the people that I appointed?
Let's parse that a bit. First, contrary to the protestations of the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, you know him, Dom, who seems to be getting awfully nervous about his role in allowing the intelligence community to be smeared, Trump does believe and was motivated by the notion that the use of the Steele dossier in the FISA process means the entire FBI and Justice Department leadership, including those he appointed, are corrupt. How could he have appointed such corrupt people like Attorney General Jeff Sessions, FBI Director Christopher Wray, or Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein? And if they are corrupt, why is he not firing them?
He will.
For those who have now been smeared, there are 3 options: quit, rebuke the president, or remain silent. Do the Jeff Sessions. Unless they choose the latter, Trump may be setting off a firestorm he cannot contain. Second, Trump is now putting in writing, at least in pixels, what he has told aides privately, namely that the release of the memo is intended to discredit and therefore undermine the investigation. Not unlike his statement to NBC's Lester Holt, I talk about this all the time, Dom, that he fired FBI Director James B. Comey because of the Russian investigation. This amounts to a confession of corrupt motive.
Again.
Reports suggest that Trump never seriously considered holding back the memo despite the national security concerns of his appointees. That was apparently immaterial to Trump. If you're looking for an intent of obstruction or witness tampering charge, you're not going to get it much better than the evidence coming straight from Trump. He, of course, will be asked in an interview with special counsel Robert Mueller III how the decision was made, who was involved in the decision, and what his motives were for doing so. If he lies to Mueller, he's compounding his legal problems. And I'll take one more here, Dom. Third, if Nunes or Nunes' staff cooperated or consulted with or colluded with, that is the White House, in cherry-picking classified material for the purpose of hobbling the investigation, they are party to an ongoing plan to obstruct the Russian investigation. Whatever that has criminal implications remains, whether that has criminal implications remains to be seen, but they now need to be questioned by the special counsel. If they lie, they are subject to criminal prosecution. Nunes' staff have no speech and debate protection, so anyone involved in this scheme would be well advised to lawyer up.
I will continue Jennifer Rubin in the Washington Post. Fourth, while the Trump-Nunes smear campaign will sway the Kool-Aid drinkers who watch hour after hour of Fox News.
That's you, right, Dom?
For sentient observers, Trump and Nunes' theory makes 0 sense. Oren Kerr explains, and here's the quote. First, you need to know all of the facts claimed in the Carter Page FISA affidavit to know if disclosing the funding source of the Steele research was even remotely relevant. My understanding is that FISA applications like this are rarely close calls. DOJ usually gives the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court way more than probable cause. At least that's my understanding. I was at DOJ and applied for warrants and a Title III order way back then, but I haven't done any FISC work. If that's right, it means that Steele's research may have been included in the affidavit amidst a ton of other evidence. And if so, the Steele research itself may have been wholly irrelevant to the application. It's hard to see any significance to whether the funding source of irrelevant research was included. Second, even if the Steele research was a major part of the affidavit, whether the funding source would need to be disclosed depends on whether it critically altered the case for probable cause. Some of that would depend on whether the Steele research was corroborated. If the government looked into the Steele memorandum and corroborated some of its claims, it undercuts the need to disclose the funding source. To my knowledge, Steele was not some random person motivated by an ongoing personal feud against Trump or Carter Page. Instead, Steele was a former MI6 intelligence officer and Russia expert. He was hired to do opposition research because of his professional reputation, expertise, and contacts, and his work was apparently taken pretty seriously by the United States intelligence agencies. Of course, that doesn't mean that what's in the dossier is true. Maybe the key allegations are totally wrong. But if you're trying to argue that Steele's funding sources ruin the credibility of his research, his professional training and background make that an uphill battle. And Jennifer Rubin concludes, the bottom line, Nunes has cooked up a theory so weak he had to cherry pick from classified documents to make an allegation that the dossier polluted the investigation that is probably disproved by documents he won't release. If there were ever someone entirely unfit to see classified information, it is Nunes. Ryan's continued indulgence will, for the foreseeable future, leave the GOP open to the claim that members are reckless with national security and unfit to handle classified material.
Now, as recently as yesterday, Paul Ryan was claiming there's no relevance between this memo released, and he knew it was coming, and the Mueller investigation. But of course, Donald Trump makes it very clear that he sees a straight line correlation, that this somehow poisons the well of the entire investigation, and therefore he should be fully exonerated. And they should, close the case immediately, I suspect, right?
Well, yeah.
That's what he'd really like to see happen.
That's not going to happen.
But Paul Ryan was saying just yesterday, no correlation between these two.
This isn't an indictment of the FBI, of the Department of Justice, is what Speaker Ryan said yesterday.
But that seemingly is precisely what Trump was tweeting out this morning. It was, in fact, some sort of indictment of the upper echelons of his own Department of Justice and FBI. But the great people, not the rank and file, but the guys at the top that have control over the investigation of the president. Those guys, really bad guys. So how does Paul Ryan try to, walk this tightrope between what the president claims it means and what he claims it means? And he has the power to neuter Nunes. He could take away the job. He could have blocked the release of the memo.
It's way too late for that for Paul Ryan. He sold his soul on this deal a long time ago. I mean, they all did. I mean, once this became Trump's party, they all became complicit. And you see all the tentacles of it happening from Sensenbrenner to Johnson to Nunes and Speaker Ryan.
And you talk about Sensenbrenner. We mentioned Jim Sensenbrenner, congressman from these parts. Well, he signed off, release the memo. He was one of 64 Republican congresspeople, no Democrats, that wanted to see this release. Our pal, Mark Pocan, my congressman, said there was no there. And I haven't looked on Fox News yet, Don, but I haven't really seen any there. I mean, the fact that the memo was released, the fact that Trump's tweeting at Rod Rosenstein and perhaps even his own FBI director, that's all newsworthy. It's being talked about. But new breaking news, other than the memo was released, cherry-picked and all, I don't see any there. I don't see any smoking gun. And I don't see how this accomplishes any more than one more night of talking points for Sean Hannity on the faux news.
Well, but obviously what it does, it lays the foundation for, at least in the eyes of some, a justifiable firing of the folks that he put in there in the first place.
Well, there's only one guy it justifies it to, and that's Donald Trump. I can't even suspect his legal counsel would be supportive of these actions. I suspect he's running roughshod over his own counselors because no one No one in right mind is telling this man, well, go fire the investigators. Let's start a Saturday Night Massacre, Nixon style, because that worked out so well for Nixon.
But everyone's telling him that. Senator Johnson, there's corruption at the highest echelon of the FBI. I mean, it's all over. Everybody. But that was those 60 Republicans who signed off on releasing this information, including Sensenbrenner, are giving Trump. They're enabling Trump to go down this road.
So you think Sensenbrenner and his colleagues, the Republicans, you think they're well aware of what Trump may have in store next, which I claim is going to be the firing of Rosenstein and shortly thereafter the firing of Mueller. You think that they knew that that's what this would eventually lead to, and they condone it, they are complicit in it?
They are party first, country second. They sold their soul when Trump won. This is Trump's party. That's what parties do.
And Jennifer Rubin, the same conservative in the Post yesterday, made the point. Next elective cycle, 2018, this is a midterm. And anyone with an R behind their name, if they're not standing up to the president, they are complicit with the president. They're supposed to be offering oversight, not smoking cover, not cherry-picked reports. I suspect this came out on a Friday because they only wanted the burst of the headline so the faux news people could, just set it up on a tee and they could make their erroneous claims on the weekend shows. But the American people would see nothing but the headline. They're not going to dig in. It's the weekend, man. Everyone wants to party. We're the only political junkies on hangovers talking about the Nunes memo right now.
We should have called in sick today, but we can't because we have a corrupt president backed up by corrupt Republicans. And I'll be the first one, Crudy. If there is some secret society within the FBI, if for some way, some reason, some report was the only justification to get a FISA warrant on Carter Page, well,
you mean the second time around?
The second time around. I may take an issue with that. But there's so much more, and there's so much more that they did not release and have not talked about. How can you take this one document at its word?
Release the hounds! We are the devil's advocates. Call us. Call it too well for this administration. 844-967-2789. It's Friday. We air grievances.
If there's no there, there's no there.
I think our side's been proven very strongly, and everybody's talking about it. And frankly, it should be discussed.
A memo can change the world. Release the hounds.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I am not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more, it's a no-brainer, I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Diamond Crute Special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years. Assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org. Or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
Wisconsin Republican Attorney General Brad Schimmel claims he will further investigate the investigators of the John Doe 2 investigation because it was all a partisan witch hunt. Wisconsin State Rep Chris Taylor said this.
There is absolutely no concern expressed by this Attorney General or these Republican legislators about the underlying criminal conduct that this corruption investigation revealed. Scott Walker was breaking laws.
And Brad Schimmel fails to acknowledge the 6 criminal convictions, 4 felonies in the Scott Walker John Doe 1. Was that also a partisan witch hunt?
One newspaper has done a good job. It's a national paper, the Wall Street Journal.
And AG Schimmel filed an embarrassing hack partisan bull report where he's still looking for the leaker. Get a clue! Wasn't it Eric O'Keefe from Wisconsin Club for Growth?
Well, I was born to do this.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org. P4ppc.org.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Saturdays for Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk with Dr. Tim Slecker, 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class. Earl Ingram's Saturday show is live from 12 to 3 p.m. Then Right Meets Left with the Joel and Joe Costa Show. Republican State Rep Joel Clayfish and Democratic State Rep Joe Costa Zamarupa go toe-to-toe from 3 to 4. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Notorious. The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
Welcome back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook. We're on Twitter at Devil Radio, and it's Friday. Air your grievances here, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, our next guest, is going to air a Friday grievance. He is the Honorable Judge David Deininger. He is a former GAB board member, and he's going to defend the nonpartisan agency against the scurrilous attacks of Wisconsin Republicans. And I would point out, there was underlying criminality. The governor of the state of Wisconsin was corruptly coordinating his campaign with third-party groups. Now, it was illegal when he was doing it. The law was very clear.
Precedent was set on that.
Of former judges, both Democrat and Republican appointees, unanimously voted to open the investigation. And this investigation was never allowed to arrive at any conclusions, much like what's going on in D.C. right now. Attack Mueller. I mean, Mueller hasn't dropped anything. Mueller hasn't leaked. We have no revelations coming from the Mueller investigation.
Yeah, come on, Mueller, where you
at, man? There were no leaks coming out of the John Doe. I mean, there are some that will complain that Bice had a leaker on the inside.
Yeah.
But there were no material leaks coming out of the John Doe until this investigation was shut down, and some heroic whistleblower felt like some of this corruption should be leaked and should reach the light of day.
Yeah, sunlight.
And perhaps the transparency cast upon the criminality of our governor would lead the Wisconsin public to a conclusion that I think reasonable people have arrived at and that Republicans completely ignore. And, example number 2, see the Nunez memo.
It's not ignore. It's cover up. They do it here on the local level, on the state level, and then do it on the national level. This is what they do.
Let's talk about another Wisconsin Republican helping cover up. This one shared by a Republican friend, Keith Best, sent along Speaker Paul Ryan's statement on the declassified, as he's calling it, FISA memo. House Speaker Paul Ryan today released the following statement after the declassification and release of a memo on the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act prepared by House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence Majority, their version of the truth. Here's the Speaker of the House's quote. The matter of concern outlined in this memo is a specific, legitimate one. Listen to him parse and split the infinitive here, Dom. Our FISA system is critical to keeping America safe from real and evolving threats. It is a unique system with a broad discretion and a real impact on American civil liberties. Unlike most judicial proceedings, the FISA system depends not on an adversarial process, but instead on the government providing a complete presentation of the facts and circumstances. Ironic he would say that. Complete presentation of the facts and circumstances underlying its warrant applications. It is clear from this memo, but not perhaps the underlying evidence, that didn't happen in this case. And as a consequence, an American civil liberties may have been violated.
May or may not have been.
I also have serious concerns with the practice of using political documents funded by a candidate's political opponents, even though it's not pertinent, as we've talked about, Don, but he wants to get it out there, part of the smear.
And even though the seed capital was provided by the
Republican
Republicans.
Paul Singer. You know, Paul Ryan, your buddy Scotty Walker got a lot of money from Paul Singer. I read on, funded by a candidate's political opponents to make law enforcement and counterintelligence decisions. Amid all of the political rancor, we must be able to work together to ensure the FISA system works as intended and Americans' rights are properly safeguarded. There he is, out there protecting our rights, Tom. I am glad that this memo helps provide greater transparency of our version of the truth, and I reiterate my support for the similar release of the minorities memo once it has been properly scrubbed of all intelligence sources and methods. It is critical that we focus on these specific actions and actors and not use this memo to impugn the integrity of the Justice and FBI.
Scott Walker.
Everything you always wanted in a
governor.
And less.
Look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff, even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
The Stephanie Miller Show is on twice daily, 6 to 9 p.m. and midnight to 3 a.m. You can stream The Stephanie Miller Show and all of our fine programming on newstalk1510am.com.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
The Earl Ingram Show.
I am really honored to have in studio a young man, Mr. Marquise Garner. He's written a wonderful book, Have You Ever Wished You Were Someone Else? Carrying the Weight of Autism. Chapter 4, man, A Face in the Crowd.
Being in public school, a lot of times you have like 35, 40 kids in the class, and I felt like another face in the crowd. Like I wasn't getting the individual attention that I needed when I was falling behind in my curriculum. I felt like I was on a political spectrum. Like not only was I diagnosed as being autistic, but being the first black, I was like, man, not only am I autistic, but I gotta like be a revolutionary for my people, being the first black in the special ed class.
The Earl Ingram Show, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m., Saturdays, noon to 3 on WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Come on, man.
Good afternoon. It is 3:32 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. After being highly criticized for saying there is a secret society in the FBI, Senator Ron Johnson is now requesting all documents, emails, and text messages from 16 DOJ and FBI officials, including former Director James Comey and former Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. Johnson, the chairman of the Senate Homeland Security Committee, had sent a letter to Deputy Attorney Rod Rosenstein asking for all documents and communications from January 1st, 2015 to the present. The request is part of a broader probe into how the FBI handled its investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server. On Monday, McCabe was removed from the FBI as Republicans questioned why it took him 3 weeks to act after being alerted to new Clinton emails. Tonight, a slight chance of snow, lows around 12 degrees. Currently 19 degrees and sunny in Milwaukee and 15 in Waukesha. For 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, my name is Brian Kelly.
Charged, never convicted. Dom and Croat are the devil's advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates. Dominic, we got a fine guest waiting live via phone. He is the Honorable Judge David Deininger. He is a former GAB board member, and he and many of his former colleagues have come together to issue a press release today. And David, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates. We appreciate you joining us here on the show.
Good afternoon, and thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, one other point of clarity. Not everyone may be familiar with your resume. You also served in state politics once upon a time as a Republican lawmaker.
I was in the Wisconsin State Assembly from 1987 through 94 as a Republican.
I appreciate that point of clarification. There was a press release, as I mentioned. I'd like to read one quote from it. I know you've written it, sir, you and your colleagues collaboratively, but for the sake of our audience, I'm going to read briefly. The settled law at the time, affirmed by Wisconsin court decisions and past opinions of both the GAB and its predecessor elections board, was that expenditures and activities by outside groups undertaken in coordination with candidate campaign committees were deemed to be political contributions subject to the limitations and reporting requirements of Wisconsin campaign finance laws. Sir, what this describes as what was known to be state law and brought to your organization was the concerns of local investigators that there was specifically at least one candidate and outside groups that were coordinating in violation of this law, specifically Scott Walker, now the governor of the state of Wisconsin. Sir, let's talk about the underlying law and settled law. To your understanding, Judge, this was not really under question when this investigation was opened, and my understanding, sir, a unanimous decision by the board members at that time.
Well, the unanimous decision you're talking about was to cooperate with the prosecutors and to assist them in investigating what appeared to us to be at least a possible violation of existing campaign finance law.
And, sir, is the Wilcox case the underlying law, a former Wisconsin Supreme Court race that led to fines, and actually Mark Block, I think, got blocked from doing political electioneering in the state of Wisconsin for some period of time? Was that the law, the precedent-setting law that helped clarify this issue prior to this investigation?
That is certainly I'd say probably the most notorious or the most obvious one. That because that was, I believe, a Court of Appeals opinion, if I remember correctly.
And Judge Deininger, you served, as you mentioned, in the state of politics. We obviously had a caucus scandal. The former elections boards were eventually turned into what was supposed to be a nonpartisan board, the GAB. All evidence from the outside, despite all of the lawsuits and things thrown at the GAB and its staff, Mr. Deininger, I've never seen any evidence that this GAB acted as anything other than a nonpartisan referee. Can you clarify the GAB? Do you have satisfaction that it was doing its job in a nonpartisan fashion, sir?
Well, certainly that's what my former colleagues and I are trying to set forth in the memo. Not only is the selection process for membership on the GAB designed to eliminate partisan influence to as greatest degree possible. It was restricted to membership was restricted to former judges, and of course, judges in Wisconsin are by law nonpartisan. You're elected on nonpartisan ballots. Many of us had some partisan political activities in our past. You've mentioned mine as having served in the Assembly. There were some that were elected as district attorneys in the past on one ticket or the other. But our most significant and recent service in Wisconsin was as part of the nonpartisan judiciary. So we approached the task as we did our duties on the bench, and that was to ascertain the facts as best we could and to interpret the law as best we could and let the chips fall where they may, and that was our approach, and that was also the commitment that we had from our staff to proceed in that fashion, and for everything that we saw in terms of their research and their analysis and their recommendations, they approached their tasks the same way.
And Judge, despite the conflict I might see with the eventual decision of the Wisconsin Supreme Court, the fact that your agency, or the agency you once belonged to, the Government Accountability Board, has basically been accused of partisanship for even continuing any investigation into what seemed like, as we've described, to be outside of permissible activity when it was going on. Sir, I've got to ask you, from the insider's perspective, how does it feel when you realize, A, the laws have now been changed, and B, the organization you once belonged to and fine retired judges have now been vilified in some way? You've been boonswoggled by staff attorneys, if we believe the reporting, sir.
Well, let's see. That was kind of a compound question. Let me try and unpack it.
Guilty, sir. Guilty.
A bit. First of all, the John Doe investigation never did result in any criminal charges. Certainly nothing was ever proven, nothing was ever tried, because it got stopped early on with the litigation that ultimately led to the Supreme Court decision that shut it down.
You're talking about the John Doe 2?
John Doe 2.
Okay.
That's correct, John Doe 2. That was the one into the state campaign finance possible violations. So it never, it never got beyond the point of the investigative process to any type of analysis or charging decisions or anything like that. So I want to be clear on that. We felt that the evidence that had come to our attention early on, and actually it was as an offshoot of John Doe 1, which originated in Milwaukee County, what was presented to us raised the question of possible violations that should be investigated. And again, that's and again, our role was not as the prosecutors, because there were possible criminal violations here. It was a series of district attorneys, starting with one in Milwaukee, but there were 3 or 4 other district attorneys from other counties in the state that also joined in the John Doe effort, and our role was to assist the investigators in the research and analysis of the evidence. And this was the prosecutor from originally sought assistance from the Attorney General's office, but the Attorney General at that time declined, and in fact wrote a letter saying you should take this up with the GAB. That's kind of their bailiwick. So we assisted, but we were not the prosecuting agency.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Our guest, Judge David Deininger. He's a former GAB board member. Judge, in the press release you put out today, you state that the Wisconsin Supreme Court ultimately terminated the second John Doe investigation and, here's my question, significantly altered previous interpretations of the laws in question. Cliff Notes, Judge, what were the interpretations and how did the Wisconsin Supreme Court alter them?
Well, basically, they said that the type of activities that were being investigated, that is the cooperation and communication between outside groups and a candidate committee, were somehow protected activities, I guess, on First Amendment grounds or some such, and that our laws could not prohibit or regulate or force disclosure on that type of activity.
And David, you had mentioned that you were in the Wisconsin Assembly, of course. In doing so, you had to run your own elections. When you did so, did it ever occur to you to coordinate with third-party groups like that?
Well, first of all, that was over 30 years ago now, and so my recollections are probably a bit dim. But I was also this was a simpler time in electoral politics in Wisconsin, and you did not have the number and size of outside group activity in elections, and the concept of issue ads that kind of tend to show up right around election time and do mention office holders and candidates by name, but are deemed not to be political advertising. That was not the phenomena that it has now become. Also, I happen to be in a district where I can't ever remember raising or spending more than about $15,000 or $20,000 on an election or re-election effort, and so it simply wasn't something that presented itself to me that anything I had to worry about.
David, what was your impression once the Wisconsin Supreme Court came out with their new interpretation, and did it strike you at all that perhaps they were influenced by the very groups that were coordinating with Walker? Well, hell, some of those Wisconsin Supreme Court justices benefited from the spending of those very groups. What's your take on that?
Well, I can't really, speak to that. I can only say it is the Supreme Court's job as the court of last resort in the state of Wisconsin to establish what the law is, and they did so. So that is now the law in Wisconsin. Period.
What about the prosecution or the seeking of contempt charges against the prosecutors and former GAB staffers? Do you think that's appropriate? If the law is changed, were these men and or women acting, in the role of their jobs? And do you think it is now appropriate, if the law has, been changed, to prosecute those that might have sought to do their jobs prior, sir?
Well, I can tell you that I personally, and I know a number of the former members of the GAB, have been somewhat dismayed by the, not my term, but I think I saw an editorial headlined vendetta against anybody that had ever worked in any way at the Government Accountability Board. I think it's unfortunate. It is certainly ruining or interfering with careers of some very dedicated and able individuals. And it is also the legislative action last week to terminate the administrators or to non-confirm them, reject their confirmation, is really kind of undermining confidence in the successor commissions, the Elections Commission and the Ethics Commission, that the legislature created to replace the GAB. So, I mean, the legislature got what it wanted in the new commissions, in that they now have a partisan makeup and they have a say in who sits on those commissions. and then they're not listening to the folks they put in place to do this work. So it is dismaying and somewhat quizzical that they would take the steps that they have. And you're right. They've also said they're going to pursue others to try and force them out of their current jobs, which is, you would think they would be content to having done away with the GAB and rest on their laurels there.
I got to ask you one final question, Judge Denninger. Have you read the report from Brad Schimmel? We have pointed to some of the inaccuracies, everything from Sonia Bice not working where she was accused of being a leak to sort of the smear against Shirley Abrahamson, perhaps inspecting the seals of sealed documents. What did you think of this? Did you find it to be a competent report that advanced the conversation, or did you have misgivings perhaps like I, sir?
One of the motivations perhaps for the former members of the board to issue the release that we did is to set forth our view of the work we did and the people that worked for us, and as we conclude in the final paragraph, that we hope and trust that the new investigation will be fair and honest and free of political considerations. So we'll leave it at that. I'd rather focus on our trust that the Attorney General will do a fair and impartial job in evaluating the work that we did and the people that worked for us.
Hey, David, one last question for you with regards to the John Doe. Justice Shirley Abrahamson brought up in her dissent on that. She mentioned specific coordination with express advocacy groups. It seemed like the other justices totally overlooked that point. Do you have an opinion on that, sir?
Not really. But I think she's correct that the majority opinion did not address that issue.
Sir, do you think there will ever be full transparency? Will we ever see a transcript, or per the nature of these rulings, is it all likely to end up sealed in a filing cabinet or in a shredder somewhere?
Well, that is that's the current orders.
Judge David Deininger.
So your guess is as good as mine, I guess.
Oh, I suspect I know the answer, sir. I'm a little more cynical than you. Judge David Deininger, thank you so much for joining us this Friday afternoon and sharing this collaborative memo that you guys have sent in support of your former colleagues at the GAB. Thank you so much, Judge.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Thank you, David.
Yeah,
folks,
bye-bye.
We are the Devil's Advocates. It's Friday. We air grievances. These former judges appointed to the GAB board, I think they got a grievance with being characterized as partisans. I think we know who the real partisans are. Be it D.C. attacking Mueller, or be it here in the state of Wisconsin attacking Chisholm, the GAB, and the investigators. It's the underlying criminality. It's the criminals setting the outcomes. I'm looking at you, Trump. I'm looking at you, Walker. Join us now, 844-967-2789. More fine guests to come. Tom Pills-Owitz will join us in studio soon.
I love being governor.
You'll get nothing and like it.
We are the People for People Corporation. We are a registered 501c3, totally legit. What do? We take your uncapped, dark money, tax-deductible donations, private or corporate, always anonymous, and we turn it into free speech. Educate Wisconsin through advertising, which may or may not be in coordination with the candidate. Isn't that illegal? It should be, but it's not under Wisconsin law, thanks Governor Scott Walker. Politicians in Wisconsin are beholden to the millionaire and billionaire sugar daddy and sugar mamas that finance their campaigns. Time to make them beholden to we the people for People Corporation. Give your tax-deductible donation to the real patriots, the People for People Corporation, P4PPC.org, P4PPC.org.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Live via phone, he is former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel.
Firing Bob Mueller doesn't mean that the prosecution, the investigation goes away. Pardoning one individual does not mean that you undo everything that has been done before. So this notion that somehow by shutting down and by pardoning and by sort of stopping the process, you're also stopping the wheels of justice is simply, again, it's simply wrong.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
Going through divorce is a very emotional time in someone's life, and when I went through my first divorce, I really needed someone to help me through the legal aspects of what my rights were. That's why I got...
Then you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the Grads of Life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Sign on with the devil.
Its number is 666.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Taking your calls on Fridays, airing grievances, 844-967-2789.
Dom, why all the satanic talk?
Why, Crudy?
I mean, you're an atheist, not a Satanist. Because the markets, the Dow Jones Industrial, it's down 666 points. That's the number of the beast.
And a fine Iron Maiden song.
2.5 points. It's off today. The worst day in the market, certainly under Trump. Worst day since 2008. Perhaps you remember the cataclysmic financial circumstance the United States was in 2008.
Was that the worst day or worst
day
week?
Since?
Worst day since?
Worst day since 8. We got a fine guest coming soon. He is Tom Palzowitz. He is a candidate, Wisconsin's 5th Congressional District. That's the one currently held by Jim Sensenbrenner. I want to thank our most recent guest. He was also a fine one. The Honorable Judge David Deininger, a former Republican. Sounds fairly reasonable. I think somewhere along the way he lost his partisanship, became a judge, served his state well, and then, of course,
got a stick in the eye from the Republicans.
Thrown out and accused of being a partisan. You know, he must be against Walker because Walker can do no wrong, except it was underlying criminality that he discussed in this memo. Let's grab Wisco Paul quick. Wisco, got a minute before our next guest. How you doing, buddy?
I'm not hyperventilating yet.
Oh,
I
good.
should be. Yeah, okay, well, afternoon, my grievance. I'd like to swear, but
please
I'll just
don't.
say that, okay, the GOP can bite me on what's going on with Trump. This is, I've never seen nothing like this, and they'll be lucky if somebody doesn't get killed or something. I don't I've never witnessed nothing like this, and that's about all I can say without
swearing. Paul, I would say we appreciate the listenership and the call, but I would say we've seen something almost identical to this. It was the squashing of the John Doe 2 investigation here in the state of Wisconsin. The parallels, the irony is thick between these two cases. I'm telling you, Dom, this is exactly what's happening in D.C. Come back with us. We'll talk to a guy who wants to go to Congress, Tom Palsowitz, a candidate. He's going against Sensenbrenner. Perhaps it's time to term limit his ass. Come back with us. And Tom, it's the happy hour on Brady.
Wall Street hates it like the devil hates holy water.
Sign on with the devil.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
My name is Adam Holmes, and I'm proud to be union.
Adam, you're Director of Training for Painters District Council 7. What do you do?
I'm making sure that we're investing in our members. We're providing the safest and best trained painters, glazers, drywall finishers, and trade show workers in the industry, and we also do that at no cost to the taxpayers.
Why hire unions?
Because it costs less to be safe. We keep the contractor on the right side of OSHA and help keep the workmen's comp rates affordable. Join us, Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Everybody buckle up. Buckle up.
Let's go.
Buckle up.
Can we go to the store? Mom,
buckle
can we get
up.
some ice cream?
Everybody, buckle up.
A lot goes on in the car, but you're in control. So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Waukesha.
Wall Street gets throttled. The GOP memo. I'm Ann Cates. Wall Street has plunged today. Correspondent Allison Cossack reports it was time for a stock market correction.
We've kind of been lulled into this sense of calm. For the better part of a year, we've watched the Dow and the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ for that as well, reach these record after record after record, and it's just not realistic. And strategists and analysts are saying, look, a pullback that you're seeing today is healthy for the market because it keeps it from really, really overheating.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed down 666 points, a decline of 2.5%. It's the blue chip index's worst percentage drop since the financial crisis 10 years ago. The S&P 500 shed 60 points, while the NASDAQ tumbled 145 points. House Republicans have made public a document that alleges surveillance misdeeds by the intelligence community.
The 4-page memo prepared by House Intelligence Committee Republicans was released with President Trump's approval. It's based on classified information and claims the FBI abused its surveillance powers while it was investigating alleged Russian involvement in U.S. elections. The FBI argued against the release, warning it contains omissions that fundamentally impact the accuracy of the memo. Jerry Bodlander, Washington.
Democratic New York Congressman Jerry Nadler says the GOP has one goal.
What this is obviously a very direct, part of a very direct campaign to discredit and to distract attention and to discredit the allegation of the Russian interference in our election.
The father of 3 of the victims of disgraced sports doctor Larry Nassar will not face charges after he tried to attack the sexual abuse suspect before being tackled by security in a Michigan courtroom today. The judge accepted Randall Margrave's account that he had lost control of his emotions during the sentencing hearing, and she said that she would not punish him. I'm Ann Cates.
Oh, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Hey everybody, I'm Daryl Ingram of News Talk 1510 WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and I am the Director of Advertising and Marketing. The pride of our independent stands runs deep in all that we do here at the station. The thing that I know for sure is that you can count on the quality and independent production of client advertising, mirroring the quality and independence of our fine programming here at News Talk 1510. To learn more, contact me at 414-335-0851 or via email at daryl@newstalk1510am.com.
It has been a rough flu season so far, and it's far from over.
There were 16 flu-related deaths reported on Friday by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in its weekly flu report, which brings the total number of pediatric flu-related deaths to 53 for the season, which began in October. According to the report, influenza activity is now widespread in 48 states and Puerto Rico, down from 49 states in the previous 2 weeks. Oregon joined Hawaii in lower activity levels for the week ending January 27th. I'm Mike Cremidas.
Investors that manage over $13 trillion in assets have publicly backed the 30% Club. It's a group that is pushing for women to make up at least 30% of senior management and boards at top public companies. BlackRock, JP Morgan, and Japan's Government Pension Investment Fund are among the 27 firms that have signed up for the UK chapter of the club that hopes to increase diversity. I'm Ann Cates.
Hello, I'm State Senator LaTanya Johnson. Making sure Wisconsin residents continue to have equal and fair access to voting is very important to me. Here are some key things you should know. Wisconsin requires a photo ID, and chances are you already have what you need to vote. A Wisconsin DMV issued driver's license. You can use this even if it's revoked or suspended. A Wisconsin DMV issued identification card. A military ID issued by the U.S. Uniformed Services, or a U.S. passport book or card. You can use these items even if they're expired, as long as the expiration date is after the most recent general election held on November 8, 2016. For more information about registering to vote, please visit myvote.wi.gov or call the Wisconsin Election Commission Help Desk at 608-261-2028. We won't be taken for granted.
This message was brought to you by WRRD 1510.
Good afternoon. It's 4:05 for 1510 AM, WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Milwaukee area Republican lawmakers are at odds with Governor Walker over the expansion of Interstate 94 between the Marquette and Zoo interchanges. The legislators want to revive the plan that would rebuild the stretch of the highway, but Governor Walker says drivers want a break from construction. After being highly criticized for saying there's a secret society in the FBI, Senator Ron Johnson is now requesting all documents, emails, and text messages from 16 DOJ and FBI officials, including former Director James Comey and former Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. Tonight, a slight chance of snow, lows around 12 degrees, currently holding strong at 19 degrees in Milwaukee and 16 in Waukesha. 1510 AM, WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly.
The following program is a presentation of DC and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility. We must tell you, the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dom, we're sliding into the 4 o'clock happy hour. We've been joined live on Brady Street by a fine guest. He's been here before. He's Tom Palsowitz. Hell, he was partying on Brady Street last night. Tom, welcome back.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, well, nice to see you again.
I got to tell you, it was great to see yourself and so many of the candidates at the bar last night. And I'm not saying that, we encourage people to hang out in the bar, but we kind of do. And we're glad to see you there. Thanks for joining us for the first anniversary party, Tom.
Oh, my pleasure. Like I was saying before, I think it's important what you guys are doing, and it's great to have a voice for progressives in the southeast Wisconsin area. You guys are doing a great service. Thank you.
Thanks,
well,
man.
You're quite welcome, sir. And I would say you're a shrewd politician because, A, you came to what was quite a party last night. A lot of potential constituents there. And B, you brought beer. It's like the Daily Double. Hour. Check.
Hair of the dog. Thank you, sir.
Now, let's get into the headlines of the day if we could, Tom. You must be aware the Nunes memo has been released. And the man you'd like to defeat, Jim Sensenbrenner, he signed along with 63 other Republicans. He wanted the release of the memo. Complicit in this, I would say, Tom, but I'd like to get your opinion.
Yeah, this is uncharted territory. One of the things I've been thinking about with this is we are now releasing memos that have a chance to be one-sided. They're not vetted by both parties. They're not released under the guidance of a bipartisanship agreement. And worse off, they're attacking part of the institutions that we were relying on for our security and safety of our country. To me, this is part of, and I was reading this the other day, what's happened since the 90s is right now chairs in the houses of the different committees have to turn over every 6 years. And therefore, what we have is a lack of leadership at these chairs. And to me, Nunes is really, he's not seasoned enough to be able to say, wait a minute, country over party. And he's looking at this from a party standpoint because he believes this is going to help the party. But this is really, to me, it's a disaster for the country.
Tom, do you see any parallels to what's happening here in the state of Wisconsin in the John Doe 2, the villainizing and attacking of the prosecutors? I mean, they've squashed it. They've gone after the prosecutors. They're seeking a pound of flesh. I realize you're running for a federal office, but here in the state of Wisconsin, we have a similar corruption issue which has been crushed in the courts and by undermining the institutions like the GAB and, of course, going after the referees. Your opinion, do you see the parallels I see, Tom?
Oh, absolutely. And I would say not necessarily crushed in all the courts, but crushed in the state Supreme Court. Really interesting ruling this week was from Pennsylvania. Their state Supreme Court said that their gerrymandered districts were unconstitutional at the congressional level. Here in Wisconsin, we have a state Supreme Court that is incredibly partisan. And right now, it'd be hard-pressed for them to say anything that Scott Walker and his administration are doing would be unconstitutional. And you look at some of the other states, they've actually started to reverse that. So we need somebody like a Rebecca Dallett or a Tim Burns to get in there and really change the makeup of that court. So this election coming up on February 20th is probably one of the most influential elections that we have coming up.
Well, and you talk about we've got an election, and that's barely, not even 3 weeks, a Wisconsin Supreme Court primary. And Republicans here in the state of Wisconsin, Tom, have chosen to chop off the head of the elections administrator, the guy that runs the elections in the state of Wisconsin. Tom, do you see it as a vendetta, or do you think it is a purposeful act? Do you think they're trying to undermine the next election to come?
Of course they are. This is a systemic thing they've been doing for the last, I would say, 10 years. If you think about voter ID, if you think about voter restrictions, if you think about all the things that keep people from voting, these are actually anti-democracy things. And one of the things I've always thought of is we should be making voting easier. We should be making voting quicker. I mean, I don't know about you, but Tuesday is my most productive day. To have people vote on a Tuesday, to me, doesn't make any sense at all. And we should have changed that a long time ago. So some of the things that we have institutionalized when it comes to voting don't make a lot of sense anymore, but it's hard-pressed to get the parties to actually do something about it. I like what they're doing in Idaho with a bipartisan commission of redistricting. So when something needs to be changed from a district standpoint, it goes to a bipartisan committee, and they oversee the maps, the way the maps are drawn, and that to me helps create free and fair elections. We're a far way from free and fair elections in our country right now.
You know, Tom, the former Government Accountability Board on their website had materials. Every congressional district in the state of Wisconsin is currently unconstitutional. Why? Because Republicans, in their haste and hubris, used incorrect topographical maps. No one's challenged the congressional. We know that there could be a recasting of the assembly districts, and that would recast the senatorial districts here in the state of Wisconsin. We're waiting on that ruling to come this summer. But the gerrymandering, to a certain degree, has pushed guys like Jim Sensenbrenner farther and farther to the right, because they know their fear is not losing in a general election. They're so securely gerrymandered. Their fear is being primaried from the right. Well, this might be a wave year, Tom. You might have a fighting chance. But what do you think about gerrymandering as it affects congressional elections and pushes candidates to the left or the right, depending on what sort of district they've been gerrymandered into?
Oh, I think it's the biggest threat to our democracy. Right now, we don't have to elect people that have to work across the aisle. And because we don't have to elect people that work across the aisle, we end up electing people to go to Washington who really don't have any inkling of wanting to work together. And because they don't want to work together, they're not creating bipartisan legislation. And what's happening is we're whipsawing. So whatever one administration does, the other administration is going to come in and try to undo it. This is a big problem. But it goes into something I've been talking about is as a federal government, we don't have a plan. You know, imagine if you were going to take a vacation. You're going to spend at least a couple of hours actually planning that vacation.
Some people would.
Some people would. Well, some people jump in the car, which is cool. But the other part is you know, if we're running the federal government without a plan, right now we're running on 3-week continuing resolutions. And how long can that go on? So what we're doing is we're having to react to things that aren't worth reacting to just because we don't have an overall plan of where we want to go. And this plan needs to be about education, it needs to be about infrastructure, it's about healthcare. It's all the things that we care about. But right now we're not forcing our elected officials to have to come up with any plan. And that includes Sensenbrenner. He's not really asked. And here's the thing. How low have we set the bar for Congress people? I mean, people say that, well, at least Sensenbrenner does town halls. And I'm thinking that bar is incredibly low.
Well, right? Grothman does town halls, but if that's the standard, right, it's a very low standard.
But so as a country, we have to raise our standards for what we want out of our politicians. We need to ask people to actually get things done, which means we need them to be more bipartisan than they are, and we need them to want to work with other people.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Our pal Tom Palzowitz, he's a Democrat. He's running for Wisconsin's 5th Congressional District, a seat currently held by Jim Sensenbrenner, and he's held that seat for a very, very, very long time. Tom, what motivates you to get out and participate in this, to go run against for this seat?
Yeah, the thing I always think about when it comes to running is do we have people that are running because they want to make things better? I learned about servant leadership probably about 15 years ago. And when I started my business 13 years ago, I started really getting an understanding of it, and I started living it. And I started teaching other business owners how to really think about servant leadership. And servant leadership is not putting yourself first, it's putting the needs of everyone else first and really understanding what that means. And one of the things that today we have politicians, I mean, Sensenbrenner is a great example. He thinks he's leading, but two things are happening. One, he's not listening. So he's not really leading all of his constituents because he's not listening to all of them. But the other is he's a caretaker in his position. And those two things are dangerous from a country standpoint because we need actual leaders that want to go to Washington and want to think about and implement solutions for where we're going, not where we've been.
Tom, what are the issues, top 2 issues you think that are impacting your constituents, your potential constituents in the 5th Congressional District?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is education. You know, we've got some really great school districts in the 5th District, and then we also have some struggling school districts. And the other one would be jobs. And I'm not necessarily talking about jobs in Greenfield or West Dallas or Wauwatosa or Waukesha. I'm talking about jobs in the other areas, in the rural areas. I just saw Scott Walker announce this morning that he was going to invest $50 million.
$50 million.
50,
yeah.
right? Because suddenly we have extra money, but we can't fix roads. But he's going to invest $50 million in helping rural America create jobs. But we're not working on broadband. Broadband, to me, is the top priority that we need in order to bring jobs to rural America. But we also need ways for young people in rural America to go to school and have their debt wiped out if they want to go back and live in their community. But the Walmarts came in and took away the main streets, and now the Walmarts are leaving. And all we're left with is not much of anything when it comes to business. And that, to me, is part of the issue that we face, especially in rural America.
Tom, I got to get your reaction. Jobs report, relatively strong. It also suggests that the working stiff's wages are finally starting to spring forward. And I see the Dow Jones, I see Wall Street, it's crashing. Biggest down day since 2008, down 666 points. Tom, it's almost as if Wall Street and workers aren't really connected, almost like there's an incongruency. If the workers do well, Wall Street's not doing as well. Even the hint that workers might get a raise has driven Wall Street to a panic. Your opinion, sir?
Well, this is probably the most fascinating thing we face from a business standpoint. Companies would not exist without labor. Right? It's just it's a fundamental fact that unless you actually have people working someplace, there would be no shareholder value. Yet shareholders consistently have punished companies for increasing wages. Now the problem is we're at a historic low from an unemployment standpoint, which means wages should have been rising almost 2 years ago, but they haven't, because large corporations are more accountable to their shareholders than they are their workers. Because of the demise of unions, large companies have to answer every 90 days to their shareholder base. And because they have to answer to that base first and their people second, Wall Street's been winning. Problem is the workers also aren't participating in the gains of Wall Street. So they're being left behind. Now, the thing is that everybody's finding labor hard to find, and wages are finally starting to creep up. But this is a phenomenon that should have probably happened economically at least a couple of years ago. It's finally starting to happen today. Now, here's the thing, though. The Fed's going to overreact. They're going to raise rates. They're going to choke off any kind of growth we're going to have, and it's going to drive us back into recession. And people are going to blame labor and not shareholders. But it's really the shareholders that are driving this.
What about the Trump tax cuts? I thought it made everything better. It was the salve our economy needed. Tom, the tax cuts are starting to gain some traction with the American people. Want to get your opinion quickly as we go to break.
Yeah, tax cuts are already built into the stock market, which is why you see the stock market retreating, because the stock market didn't want any of those gains to go to labor, and now that some of it's going to labor, they're adjusting their valuations to make sure it makes sense from a cash flow standpoint.
Tom Palzowitz, he's a candidate for Wisconsin's 5th Congressional District. Easy for me to say, Tom. You know I was partying too late last night. Come back with us. Give me a little grace. We'll have a little more conversation with Tom Palzowitz, a Dem running against Sensenbrenner in the 5th.
Health insurance with our flying, FDA, big bankers buying, fake computer crashes, dining, cloning, well, they're multiplying, fashion shoots with Becky Hansen.
In heaven there is no beer. That's why we drink it here. And when we're gone from here, well, our friends will be drinking all the beer.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave and MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I'm not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more, it's a no-brainer, I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Diamond Crute Special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of
Negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters? He is Mark Thompson. He is the chair of the Wisconsin Elections Commission.
When the leader of the Senate acts like a king rather than an elected representative and won't even give a hard-working person a hearing before he asks for his head on a plate, that is being a bully. So this is not, this is just stating the facts. No fake news here.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
The Devil's Advocates, because it's always 420 somewhere.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM, WRRD.
It would be so much greater if they didn't criminalize the activities of adults in this state, Tom. Tom's on the record. I think he's a pro-weed guy. Tom Palzowitz, a candidate, Wisconsin's 5th Congressional District. That's the one currently held by Jim Sensenbrenner. Tom, I got to ask you, I think this Nunes memo is to give license to the Trump administration. Just being predictive here. But I think Rod Rosenstein's days are numbered. I think perhaps even Robert Mueller III's days are numbered. Tom, if we see a Saturday Night Massacre, I got to ask you, how does that play out electorally? A guy like Sensenbrenner asked for the release of the memo. He had to have enough forethought to realize what was the motivation behind the memo. And of course, it's perhaps to fire the very investigators that investigate Donald Trump for collusion, obstruction of justice, and maybe worse. So, Tom, what do you think? How do you play this as a guy running against Sensenbrenner? How do you play this memo when the massacre comes down?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to me, it's more if. I think if Trump fires Mueller, I think there's a serious problem that happens immediately, because I think cooler heads prevail, and there will be some talk about, wait a minute, we need to protect him and keep the investigation going. Now, I think the problem is on the Republican side, they think there's nothing other than obstruction of justice. And I was having this conversation with somebody the other day about Bill Clinton. What it came down to with Bill Clinton, it was also just obstruction of justice. And from a partisan standpoint, you can look at the people that you want to keep in office and say, well, we understand obstruction of justice, but let's give them a slap on the wrist and keep moving. And I think that's what the Republicans are really trying to do in this situation is really narrow it down to that. I think it's deeper than that. I think some of Trump's family has been involved in ways, and I think there's a money issue also when it comes to the Russians that we may never know about. And I think this memo is that cover to keep those things from coming to light.
Well, Tom, I was going to mention, I think the Clinton thing, at least the genesis was what the Whitewater land deal, a real estate deal that the Clintons profited on. Well, hell, if you believe some of the reports, Donald Trump's been money laundering for the Russian oligarchs for 20 years. Certainly there's more conflicted activity going on there. And of course, the lies, the underlying allegation. I mean, Bill Clinton went down for a picadillo with a intern, colluding. A picadillo with Putin seemingly is much worse to me, sir.
Nobody cares if Donald Trump lies at this point, especially his base. I mean, he reported once again that he had the largest audience ever for a State of the Union address, and everybody knows that that's an absolute outright lie. But at this point, his base just does not care. So if he's been lying to people, I don't think anybody wants to see him punished for that.
Tom, if people want to learn more about you or get involved in your campaign, help out in some ways, how would they do so?
Yeah, a couple different ways. One is go to tomforwi.com. That's TOM for FORWI.com. There's a way to donate on there. There's a way to volunteer on there. You can learn more about the campaign, learn more about me. We need a lot of help. We're looking at a grassroots campaign. We just feel after 40 years, it's time for Sensenbrenner to go.
Only 40?
Only 40. And with Patty Schachner's victory in an area that looks very similar to Waukesha County, we believe that that gap is narrowed.
Tom Palzowitz, we wish you luck, sir. We'll talk again soon. Tom Gooddem, a candidate for the 5th. We got former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel. He joins us next. The Nunez memo conversation continues. Thanks a lot, Tom. Have a great weekend,
Thanks,
buddy.
Tom.
Thanks, guys.
But there's been no collusion, no obstruction, and virtually everybody agrees to that.
On the line, Miss Patty Flowers. She is Red Cross.
I'm the CEO for the state of Wisconsin.
Wow. Well, we couldn't have had a better person to represent the Red Cross.
Well, I think the number one thing that we've got to remember is that people are suffering, and this is the time of year when it's even worse during the holidays.
You are going to continue the same policy that you've had for decades when it comes to the east side. But these other zip codes, it's where you're changing the policy. Can you see where people may have a question about that?
We are going into the zip codes. We're just simply asking that people come to us and meet us.
Is this because Milwaukee is perceived to be unsafe? Milwaukee Central City.
We have long-standing agreements with taxi companies in the state.
The Earl Ingram Show, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m., Saturdays, noon to 3 on WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Come on, man.
Hello, I'm State Senator LaTanya Johnson. This year's primary will be held on February 20th, and the spring election is on April 3rd. We will not be taken for granted.
When Wisconsin Republican Brad Schimmel
I don't have a lot of expertise.
decided to run for Wisconsin Attorney General,
I don't even know my own website address.
even some conservatives questioned his ability.
You can always say no to a request for an interview, and I kind of wish Mr. Schimmel had said no. I don't think he was ready for that.
Schimmel claims to be all about law and order.
You start with the default position that yes, you will enforce the laws.
Apparently, even if that means enforcing a 1960s-style ban on interracial marriage.
It might be distasteful to me, but I've got to stay consistent with that as the state's lawyer. It's not my job to pick and choose.
Wisconsin deserves a competent attorney general.
We've got to go.
Yes, Brad Schimmel, you do gotta go. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've messed up your daughter's haircut. Do you A, get spiritual?
Mom, where's the mirror?
Beauty is within. Oh.
B, find the positives?
Less time blow drying, more time texting?
Or C, show empathy?
Mom, you really don't have to.
Twinsies!
I kinda love it. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Good afternoon. It is 4:32 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly with some headlines for you. Republican lawmakers are at odds with Governor Walker over the expansion of Interstate 94 between the Marquette and Zoo interchanges. A former manager of the Milwaukee County Transit System said she was ordered to lie to Dontre Hamilton's brother about the reason he was being passed over for a job cleaning county buses, according to the Journal Sentinel. And after being highly criticized for saying there is a secret society in the FBI, Senator Ron Johnson is now requesting all documents, emails, and text messages from 16 DOJ and FBI officials, including former Director James Comey and former Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. Tonight, a slight chance of snow, lows around 12 degrees. We're looking at 18 degrees in Milwaukee and 15 in Waukesha. For 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, I'm Brian Kelly.
Find yourself doing the same things too. Breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocate Radio Show. I want to thank our last guest, Tom Palzowitz, a fine candidate, Wisconsin's 5th Congressional District. Tom, we're welcoming another fine guest right now. He's former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel. He joins us live via phone. Jim, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show.
Always good to be with you and having great discussion. Thanks for having me this afternoon.
Jim. Well, Jim, your timing is beautiful, sir. We've got the Nunes memo. Our friend Mark Pocan just the other day described it as a nothing burger, like lettuce and 2 pieces of bread. I want to get your impression. Is there any there? Is there any meat to this sandwich, sir?
I think Congressman Pocan has it just right. This is Carter Page's motion to suppress evidence when the day that he is indicted, if that happens, and as he goes to trial. This is not the smoking gun. This is not something that has people's hair on fire. I saw a commentator just the last day or so said that this memo makes Watergate look like a candy bar. That's a ridiculous proposition. There is nothing here that's even close to that. This morning, the President of the United States of America said that some people should be ashamed for what is reported here. Just the opposite, Mr. President. This is what our process is all about, and there is nothing in this memorandum that is not, to my perspective, an appropriate procedure under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, the FISA court, and we can talk about that. But I tend very much to agree with those who look at this and see great disappointment if they were looking for something huge and significant.
Jim, the DNC sent out their talking points, their read on this memo. They pointed out that this was not the first time Carter Page was under FISA warrant. Back in 2013, apparently, under investigation. The fear, I think, of intelligence services was that he had been captured. He was an active Russian agent, perhaps a spy. Does it undermine this memo when you find out that Carter Page had been under prior FISA warrant, that this warrant was not instigated until October of 2016, and when you find out that the overall FBI investigation of collusion started back in the summer, something doesn't add up about this accusation or this implication being made by Nunes and the, I almost said the Russians, I meant the Republicans.
Right, and I think you've got it just right. There's a lot here that does not add up. The reality is, it's now part of the public record that Carter Page has been the focus of attention by the federal government for his connections with the Russian government, whatever those may be, whatever his status may be. We may find out one day if indeed he is indicted, if indeed there is a trial, if indeed there is an exposition of what he has done. But your point is exact. This goes back a long period of time, back to 2014, and even on this particular warrant that's the subject of the Nunes memorandum, we go back to October of 2016, and we've got 4 judges between that time and the time this started and recent reviews of subsequent extensions. 4 different judges looked at this and said, yes, in fact, there is probable cause, not proof beyond a reasonable doubt, because that's not the standard for a warrant, but you've got probable cause to believe that there should be some surveillance. 4 different FISA judges looked at this over a long period of time and made that determination. This is not something that is out of the ordinary. This is what the FISA court does, And there are good expert judges, frankly, once again, on both sides of the political spectrum who look at these things day in and day out and make those appropriate, balanced decisions. They granted the request here, renewed it 3 different times because of the propriety of what was presented in front of them, not because there was some inappropriate engagement with, again, obviously a lot of references to this dossier and to the Clinton administration, but because it showed probable cause as to what Carter Page has done. And that underscores another point that's out there as well, which is where we've obviously got, as the Democrats have said, a lot of cherry picking here about what is and is not in this memorandum. I have not seen the FISA warrant applications. My strong sense is, and once again, this is a part of our what used to be part of my regular practice and that of many of my colleagues, this is probably an application that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 pages long. There's a huge amount of information here. We are seeing, my strong guess is, a very small sliver of it that focuses on things that, once again, Carter Page may raise when he wants to suppress evidence gotten in the wake of these surveillance authorizations. But again, this is not something that has just percolated up today or in the past few months. Carter Page plainly has been, as you have noted, the focus of a lot of attention for a long period of time, and plainly, appropriately so. We'll see if there's sufficient evidence to pursue an indictment and what the nature of his relationship was, but that's not the standard here. It's probable cause, and judges made that good and decent and balanced determination.
But, Jim, the Republicans are out there today with this memo saying that, the basis for this probable cause, the basis for the first judge to allow this FISA warrant to continue or to go forth is the dossier. What do you say to that?
Well, and again, my strong sense is that we are getting, as the Democrats have also indicated, we have got a sliver, my sense is. If you look at the Nunes memorandum, and it is readable. It's a little bit thick, but it's a little bit convoluted as well. It's not very long, and you've got 4 or 5 points, all of which ultimately circle back to the dossier. My strong sense is that there's a reference to a Yahoo article that Michael Isikoff wrote, and the bias of Christopher Steele, and there's even a reference, appropriately perhaps in the end, the very last paragraph, to a sort of a strange reference that there's no connection between George Papadopoulos and Carter Page. I don't know what that's all about, but once again, it strikes me that none of that undermines what these judges did, which was to look at the complete corpus, if you will, of all the evidence presented by the executive branch of government, by the Department of Justice representatives and attorneys, to these Article III judges, a different branch of government, a check and a balance. And if there is a judge among any of these 3 or 4 who looked at this and said, you know what, I'm looking at this and I think this is too thin. I will tell you as an important aside that any good prosecutor, including me throughout my career, there were times that I went to judges, magistrate judges and Article III judges, and they said, Mr. Santel, this is not enough. It's too thin. You do not have enough here to get a search warrant to go into this home. You don't have enough support to do this particular thing that you're asking to do under the law, to get electronic information, to frankly, once again, implicate the Fourth Amendment right to privacy. And that's appropriate. That's what judges do. In this particular instance, you had the FISA judges, who are Article III judges, look at all of this, including probably the dossier, but my strong guess is an awful lot of other information, and made that determination that there was probable cause to permit this to happen. So to the extent that, and again, we can get into, I know that you've spoken at great length in other settings about the strength and weakness of the dossier. We have yet to have that determination yet either. Plainly, there are things about the dossier that are proving every day to be true and verifiable and quantifiable. But the simple reference to this, the singular focus on dossier is, again, narrow. It is a sliver, as I've said, and my strong sense is when that day comes, maybe in history, when these FISA warrants and the applications for them are made public for historians to look at, there will be a huge amount more than what we are seeing here today on the second day of February of 2018.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show right here on WRRD 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Got a fine guest live via phone. He is former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel. Jim, I got to ask you, Trump doesn't think this is a nothing burger. He was tweeting out at Rosenstein and the highest ranking members of the DOJ and the FBI,
Right.
although apparently the rank and file, they're all good. When
They're okay, right?
whether or not he would fire Rosenstein, his response, you figure that one out. I suspect he's going to fire Rosenstein as a prelude to firing Mueller. Do we have effectively a slow motion Saturday Night Massacre going on right now, Jim?
That certainly is what it feels like, doesn't it? And again, your point about focusing on Rod Rosenstein, who again I served with as a U.S. attorney. He was a U.S. attorney out of Baltimore. I know him well. He is a decent, and I know he's been the subject of a lot of criticism as well. He is a decent, thoughtful, industrious guy who knows what he is doing. And, once again, this attack on whether it's Rod Rosenstein or all the other people mentioned in this memorandum, Sally Yates, Andrew McCabe, Jim Comey, Bob Mueller, Dana Bente, all these folks, once again, the notion that somehow because of these things that the president reads in this memorandum strike him as being indications of malfeasance, misfeasance, sufficient perhaps to fire someone is ridiculous. Just because, once again, none of those people I just mentioned, from Bob Mueller to the President Attorney General to Jeff Sessions to Dana Bente to McCabe to Yates to Comey to everyone here, including Rod Rosenstein, none of them independently on their own can do what is set forth in this memorandum, which is secure a FISA warrant. It takes judges to do that. And so this notion that we are looking now, and the speculation is that the president may be looking to terminate the service of a good and decent and hardworking and thoughtful Deputy Attorney General, again, is not supported by this memorandum, and I would suggest is not supported by the career that the Deputy Attorney General has pursued. Rod Rosenstein, for all the criticism that he has gotten, is doing a job that is good and decent on behalf of the American population.
Well, Jim, of course, the Republicans are being disingenuous in this rollout, not letting the Dems have a response. And in this rollout, putting in the memo that this is funded by the dossier specifically was funded by Democrats, but they totally leave out the fact that it started out being funded by Republicans. In either case, Jim, to your opinion, does the source of the funding of the dossier, is that relevant?
It's a great question because it goes to a larger issue that's also a part of the way this works. There are all sorts of occasions. You see them in the media, you see them in your own experience. We have, as prosecutors, as FBI agents, as people in law enforcement, there are all kinds of motivations that prompt people to come in. Sometimes they're angry at a spouse and an employer. Sometimes there are political reasons for doing something. Sometimes it is because, most often it's because they've got a sense of justice and want to do things that are right. So they come forward and they say, listen, I've got information. The source of that, or the reason for that, the motivation for coming forward, is that something that we look at? Of course it is. Of course it is. And that's why we then go after a corroboration. If I come in and say one of you has robbed a bank, there's no good prosecutor who's going to say, well, Jim Santel said this happened, let's go indict the two of you and let's shut down the radio station. No, you're going to look at all sorts of things. And I may be motivated because, again, this is not the case, but I don't like you. Maybe we've had a fight in the past. Whatever the source of my information is, it may be interesting. Should it be looked at? Should we know about it? Absolutely. And should it be a part of the analysis, gymnastics we go to figure out whether or not I'm credible or not? But in the end, the question is, what can you find to corroborate what Santel is saying? Was there a bank robbery? Did these people, were they involved in it? What other things are there? And in the end, to answer your question a bit more pointedly, the source or the motivation of it is far less important than the substance of what is said. If it turns out that my reason for coming forward is purely political and I'm angry or I'm upset or I'm disenchanted, and there's no there, and there truly is, to use this expression that's overused now in Washington, this nothing burger notion, then you walk away from it. And we do that all the time as well. But we also pursue investigations, and that's what's going on here. You have folks coming forward, whether it's Papadopoulos, who plainly again is mentioned in this memorandum, probably is mentioned in the application as well. You come forward, And I have no doubt that good and decent prosecutors, again, on both sides of the political spectrum personally, but who do not share that, who do not make that front and center in their own work, are looking at this and saying, do we have probable cause to believe that Carter Page was in fact an agent for a foreign power, and should we pursue this further? We don't have proof necessarily yet beyond a reasonable doubt to convict him, but is this something that we should be looking at? Absolutely. I should also mention in the same breath, there are FISA warrants, I am sure, all the time that are requested and granted, and it turns out there may not be anything there, and we close them out, and nothing happens. Is it still good government? And do you want the American public, do you want your officials to be looking at things? Absolutely. The mere fact that it may or may not result in an indictment and a conviction doesn't mean that the underlying application under the Fourth Amendment, under the Constitution, was inappropriate. And it doesn't mean that in this particular case, those people who asked for those warrants and those Article III judges, I can't emphasize this enough, who made the decision to grant those warrants based upon probable cause, that their actions or the actions of Rod Rosenstein or anyone else are inappropriate and therefore justify this kind of response.
Jim Santel, got just a minute or two left. A couple of quick ones. If Nunes colluded with the White House to draft this document, this memo, is he putting himself in legal jeopardy?
You know, it's a good question. I mean, it goes to what is obstruction of justice. You know, my general sense is that the mere fact that one speaks with an opposite branch or a constitutional branch of government doesn't mean that you're engaging in criminal conduct. We encourage that kind of communication. The question is whether or not what you're doing, and this is the focus of a lot of what Bob Mueller is looking at right now, are you doing something because you want to obstruct justice? Do you want to throw people off the path? Do you want to undermine the good and legitimate and appropriate process that they're pursuing? That's the question. It's much too early to know whether or not this authoring memorandums. And I will say, again, I know you wanted a quick answer on this. The other part of this that really strikes me as wildly inappropriate is just what's going on Capitol Hill these days, and that is that these committees, including this particularly the committee that Nunes has been heading, started what back in the 1970s, 40 years ago, and the arrangement was that the intelligence agencies in this country will provide the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence with all the intelligence the president would otherwise get. Just that they also know, a different branch of government also knows what's going on. The arrangement was you do not disclose it. You do not make it public. You do not put it in memorandums that are then disclosed into the public domain, because that undermines our intelligence, that undermines the process. And frankly, my other concern today is that in the wake of this, the intelligence agencies will be far less inclined to provide complete and accurate information to those committees, as will our foreign counterparts and our allies around the country. I know Theresa May has already commented about whether or not it's wise to provide intelligence to America when it's possible that one day they could end up in now unclassified memorandums that the entire world is looking at. That's not a good thing for America. That's not a good thing for our safety and security.
Former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel, thank you so much for joining us on a Friday afternoon. We got to go to break. Come back with us. Join us on the phones, 844-967-2789.
Damn it, Jim.
It sounds nice. It's not nice. It's not good.
This is like a piece of lettuce between two buns. Like, what are we even talking about?
Did you get that memo?
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward, it's the right way to clean.
Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Have you got your head in the clouds on how to manage IT for your enterprise? We can make your dreams a reality. With our enterprise cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting, we'll manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Consider Five9s your personal enterprise IT solution. Enjoy technology. For more information, visit 59s.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Only in the forest can you see this. And this. And this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
I didn't know it could do that!
Because one trip to the forest can spark a world of difference.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, canoeing, fishing, or camping. Or create your own adventure with family and friends, and you might just see this. Your moment's out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
I needed an attorney because I was injured at work. I wanted to find a reputable attorney. The results that I got with Lawton and Cates were very good. I'm very happy with the way I was treated and the end result that I got.
Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton and Cates. 282-6200. 282-6200.
I'm Andy Buck, and I'm proud to be union.
Tell me about the underground economy.
Well, the underground economy is essentially workers being exploited, and they're being exploited all over the state. They're working for no benefits, no retirement, and if you don't join your brothers and sisters, you don't respect your craft.
Andy, why should I hire union?
Crudy, you should hire union because you want the job done right the first time. We represent the highest skilled, safety-trained workers in the industries that we represent. Glazers, painters, and drywall finishers. Join us. Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Sundays for Meet the Press with Chuck Todd from 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the Jeff Santos Show, kicking ass for the middle class from 12 to 3 p.m. And Citizen Action's Battleground Wisconsin rages from 3 to 4 p.m. Get your groove on with Stu Man PM, politics and music, 4 to 6 p.m. with Stu Daniels.
The Devil's Advocates. Rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. 1510 AM WRRD, airing grievances on Fridays. You can join us, 844-967-2789.
Thank you to our most recent guest, former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel. A fine guest indeed, a friend of ours. Let's get back to the phones. You're all our friends. 844-967-2789.
Doug from Bellingham, Washington. Welcome back, Doug. What do you got for us today?
How you been? Happy New Year, Doug.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's nice to be on. I appreciate you all having me on. I was listening. I like listening, and I learned from you all, and I appreciate the discussions that you have. I was listening, and a couple of times lying was mentioned, and we tend to kind of overlook how serious an offense lying is. Lying is literally a form of suicide. It's a suicide on the installment plan, and there is no getting away with lying. Karma gets us eventually, and we really need to work hard at demanding that we speak the truth, and that we speak the truth ourselves, because it literally, lying is a form of self-destruction.
Well, I believe you, Doug, and I would like to think I'm a man of integrity, but how do you explain the success of Donald Trump? How does karma reconcile with Trump, Doug?
I think lying is a part of our culture. And what we're getting is a very large exaggeration of something that's happening in our culture. And yes, we should demand that the president speak the truth, but we also need to look in the mirror and say, sometimes I tell little lies, and that's not acceptable because little lies grow into big lies, and certainly it makes lying acceptable in our culture, and it's not because it's.
Sorry about that, Doug. Got to cut you short.
I think he's lying. I think he meant to do that.
I didn't
Little
mean to
lie.
do it, but I thought it was a good spot. I don't lie, Doug, because I can't remember the lies. But thanks for calling, man.
Yeah, if you can't keep them straight, you better not be a liar. The happy half hour, the 5 o'clock hour, bonus coverage, Devil's Advocates. We're coming right back. You better stick around. Join us. Your Friday grievances welcomed. 844-967-2789.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Wisconsin Republican Attorney General Brad Schimmel claims he will further investigate the investigators of the John Doe 2 investigation because it was all a partisan witch hunt. Wisconsin State Rep Chris Taylor said this.
There is absolutely no concern expressed by this Attorney General or these Republican legislators about the underlying criminal conduct that this corruption investigation revealed. Scott Walker was breaking laws.
And Brad Schimmel fails to acknowledge the 6 criminal convictions, 4 felonies in the Scott Walker John Doe 1. Was that also a partisan witch hunt?
One newspaper has done a good job. It's a national paper, the Wall Street Journal.
And AG Schimmel filed an embarrassing hack partisan bull report where he's still looking for the leaker. Get a clue! Wasn't it Eric O'Keefe from Wisconsin Club for Growth?
Well, I was born to do this.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org. P4ppc.org.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off at school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hey everybody, I'm Daryl Ingram of News Talk 1510 WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and I am the Director of Advertising and Marketing. The pride of our independent stands runs deep in all that we do here at the station. The thing that I know for sure is that you can count on the quality and independent production of client advertising, mirroring the quality and independence of our fine programming here at News Talk 1510. To learn more, contact me at 414-335-0851 or via email at daryl@newstalk1510am.com.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Waukesha Mill.
Memo Firestorm, Dow's Big Dive. I'm Barbara Cusack. The White House says a newly released GOP memo raises serious concerns about the Justice Department and the FBI's handling of the Russia investigation. But the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff, says it doesn't tell the entire story.
What it ends up delivering is criticism of a single FISA application involving Carter Page and its renewals that cherry picks information that doesn't tell the reader the whole of the application and is, as the DOJ and FBI have said, deeply misleading and factually inaccurate.
In light of the memo, reporters asked President Trump if he has confidence in Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein.
You figure that one out.
Wall Street was rattled by a report on wages that fueled concerns about heightened inflation. Correspondent Michael Toscano reports that sent stocks lower.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average ended the trading week by closing down 666 points, or 2.5%. The Dow and the S&P 500 both lost 4% of their value this week. The Nasdaq down 4% in Friday trading. A strong jobs report showed wage growth is finally starting to pick up, reinforcing investors' concern about inflation and its pressure for faster and bigger interest rate hikes.
Today was Janet Yellen's last day at the Federal Reserve. The first woman to head the nation's central bank starts a new job on Monday at the Brookings Institution. An Arizona man, Douglas Haig, told reporters he's the person who sold ammunition to Las Vegas mass shooter Stephen Paddock.
600 rounds 7.62 NATO M62, manufactured by Lake City. 120 rounds 5.56 M196, manufactured by Lake City in the original package.
Haig confirmed he was the second person of interest in the investigation and explains Paddock had told him that he was going to go out to the desert and put on a light show, either with or for his friends, with all that firepower. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Driving means
freedom,
exploration,
fun,
pride,
flexibility,
protection, friendship,
escape,
independence.
Distracted driving means
danger,
recklessness,
irresponsible,
chaos, police,
devastation,
injury,
death.
Safe driving means staying alert and staying alive.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
A new record has been shattered at Philadelphia's famed Wing Bowl.
Competitive eater Molly Schuyler chewed her way through a record 501 chicken wings in a half hour to win her third Wing Bowl in Philadelphia. Wing Bowl is usually Philadelphia's substitute for the Eagles going to the Super Bowl, but this year it also acted as a rally for the Eagles on the eve of their third Super Bowl appearance.
Do-or-die Eagles fan, took off from work, got the suit, I'm all laid out, ready to go for Sunday.
Wing Bowl 26 drew nearly 20,000 people to the Wells Fargo Center to watch Schuyler top the old wing-eating record of 444 set in 2015. I'm John Stolnis.
Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow early today, and you know what that means when the furry creature casts a shadow on Groundhog Day. You can expect 6 more weeks of winter-like weather. But wait, Staten Island Chuck insists an early spring is in sight. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Juice, Mom! Juice, juice, juice!
Mommy, why are we going to the store?
Mom, I want juice!
Mom!
Juice, juice, juice!
Mom!
Your child will have different needs at different stages of life, and that includes the car seat. See, car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We got Mark Pocan live via phone. Mark, does Paul Ryan hate poor people?
Oh, he hates poor people and middle-class people. I mean, I think when he was probably 5 years old playing with Play-Doh, trying to, adjust the taxes on Play-Doh. And so, to be fair, I think he's doing what he always said he was going to do. It's just no one actually believed he was either that cruel, evil, or dumb to do it.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Good afternoon. It is 5:05 for 1510 AM, WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly with some headlines for you. After being highly criticized for saying there is a secret society in the FBI, Senator Ron Johnson is now requesting all documents, emails, and text messages from 16 DOJ and FBI officials, including former Director James Comey and former Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. Republican lawmakers are at odds with Governor Walker over the expansion of Interstate 94 between the Marquette and Zoo interchanges. A former manager at the Milwaukee County Transit System says she was ordered to lie to Don Trey Hamilton's brother about the reason he was being passed over for a job cleaning county buses, according to the Journal-Sentinel. And the Bucks lost to the Timberwolves last night. They will host the Knicks tonight. Tonight, a chance of snow, lows around 12 degrees. Currently, we're looking at 18 degrees in Milwaukee and 16 in Waukesha for 1510 AM. My name is Brian Kelly.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. It is the super duper happier half an hour bonus coverage.
You're welcome.
Of the Devil's Advocates on a Friday. Thank God.
Oh.
And we're looking forward to you helping us get home. We'll get you home, but, you know, between here and 5:30, we could use you on the phones. You know, we've been working our asses off the last couple days.
We have. I mean, even when you throw a party for the first anniversary of the station, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, last night, next time we'll do it on a Friday, you know, it's like we never stopped from yesterday to last night to this morning and to now.
The beat goes on.
You're a hard-working man today, Crudy. Well done, sir.
Well, I'm chasing Earl Ingram Jr. He's a harder working man. I'm just trying to keep up. 844-967-2789. Bonus grievances on a Friday afternoon. And a good friend waiting on the phones. It's Pizza the Box. How you doing, Michael?
Man, I have been working hard, and I'm not kidding. But that's cool, because, you know, it's winter. It makes it go by much faster.
Absolutely.
But talk about a Nunes burger? It's a Nunes burger.
You'll get nothing in Lincoln Spalding.
Man, there's no pickles, mustard, onions, nothing. It's a nothing burger, just like I thought. But, you know, speaking of nothing burgers, Sausage Brenner's been very irrelevant for quite some time. We might want to check in to see how his wealth has grown over the years serving the public, right? Just like when
he is a very wealthy man. You know, more money than Ron Johnson.
That's like old Kimberly Clark money there.
Well, it's kind of hard to figure it out, you know, because I do math better than Walker. I know that. But, you know, at $200,000 a year, I guess if you serve 20 years, that'd be what, $4 million. You saved all of it, right? So how do you go from $1 million to $10 million in wealth? I guess that's the other payouts you get from the tobacco companies and the mining companies and stuff like that.
It's better than that, man, because as a representative or a senator, whatever the case may be, when you get that public testimony or you're on a committee, you hear something, generally that's now officially public knowledge. And once you get that public knowledge, you can get your stock tip
maybe
in.
Before, maybe after.
You know, that's there could be some gray areas there.
Yeah, right. There's some gray areas, all right, and I know where they are. We can't talk about that. But what
mostly
we can talk about...
Bob Corker's Ohio Senate office, but go ahead, Michael.
One thing that is relevant is in all this is fighting poverty. So the Poor People's Campaign is kicking off at the Capitol. We're going to have a press conference. Yours truly is going to be making a statement. I hope the governor hears it. In other words, I won't be on TV because they're not going to want to hear it.
Michael,
so
when's the press conference?
10 o'clock, 10 a.m. on next Monday morning, the 5th, at the Capitol. And anybody that wants to be there and support and be a part of the backdrop, like you know, they like to use. We use real people. Just show up. We need all the support we can get, but
Mike,
it's going down, man.
What are you trying to do? What are you trying to impact? What are you trying to change, bring awareness to?
Trying to show people that as long as we have people living in poverty, we're never going to have a good economy or a safe society, and that's not what being a good human being is. And that's what this is all about right now.
Right on, brother. We certainly appreciate it. 10 o'clock on Monday. Pizza, that's going to be at the Capitol, right? In the Rotunda?
You bet. Well, we'll probably
Assembly
have a room
parlor?
like we did last time. Yep. Some parlor up there. You bet.
Cool. Pizza Box Mike, 844-967-2789.
Bonus Devil's Advocates grievances on a Friday afternoon. Who could have a bad thing to say when the Devil's Advocates are still on? Well, perhaps Randy from Madison. We'll find out. 844-967-2789. Be like Randy. Randy, welcome.
Hey, guys. Listen, Chuck on. Listen, here's the deal. I think that Comey, before he knew he would inevitably leave, set up things to safeguard. And if Mueller, he's probably smarter than any one of us on the earth right now. And listen, I'm sure he's doing the same thing. There's no reason, I mean, it might slow it down, but there's no reason to get way too distressed because justice will serve.
You know, Jim Santel, former U.S. attorney, fine guest today, but he's made prior appearances. I like to replay one of the statements he made. We asked him about pardons and the firing of Mueller, and he effectively said, just because Trump takes out Mueller, that's not going to end the investigation. That's not going to eradicate the prior evidence. He's only one man. There's like 16 investigators on the team. Trump would literally have to be firing people all day, every day, or they will just appoint new special counsel and new investigators to the team. Randy, the truth will get out. All Trump can do is delay the inevitable impeachment.
Well, listen, Crute, I know you're partial to the Christian thing, and occasionally I am too. Unfortunately, the freaking GOP made it taboo.
Yeah.
But I believe there's something there where it says that all things come to the light eventually.
Yeah, and smite down a Republican with the jawbone of an ass. That's what I say. It's in the Bible. Look in the back. It's in there.
Yeah. Okay.
I smote him down with the jawbone of an ass. You know, Democrats, we are the jackasses, right?
Hey, you said
not
it.
that I
You
joined
said
the
it,
party.
not me, man.
The donkeys. So I will smite down.
You know, and
I'm
thanks
done
for
with the
call.
biblical references.
Thank you, because
I just think
don't know what
Jesus
you're talking about
was
anyway.
a good man who was probably a progressive, unlike the perverse way Republicans make it all about a get out of porn star purgatory free card.
Oh man, you get a mulligan for 70 years of your life, so long as you pass their agenda.
Youthful indiscretions and all that.
Yeah, like last night.
I hope God will forgive us our indiscretions.
844-967-2789. We're running till 5:30 this entire month, so you can join us late on the phones if you choose.
And then what time
on Friday
are we going to start and finish beginning March 1st, Tom?
Oh, I hope to God you're talking about 3 to 6.
Yeah.
Oh.
Forevermore. Foreversies. Our natural spot, it just feels right.
It is so right. 3 to 6. That's the way to go.
Well, in the meantime, we'll warm them up with 2 to 5:30 each and every day. Now, a little extra work for you, but it's worth it.
What the hell are we going to do anyway? We go to a bar and complain about these things. I want to address Randy quickly, and I certainly appreciate what he's saying. But, I'm not clear all things come to the light eventually.
Look at the John Doe, too.
I think sometimes, people get away with it. I think governments get away with it. I think people get away with it. Organizations. I mean,
you probably think OJ's guilty.
Still looking for the killer. When organizations and people and industry, when these things, when they don't get away with it, is when the people rise up and don't take it. When the people don't take the answers that they are given and just walk away and accept them as truth. When they dig in, you push back, you question. When you see this kind of document roll out today, and it makes me wonder, what's the greater play? Because this can't possibly
Firing Mueller,
be... Well,
firing Rosenstein. And what are you going to do? I'm asking all of my audience, all of you, Dominic, Fancy Brian, what are we going to do when Mueller gets fired? There are planned protests.
We're in the street, baby.
If it happens before 2 p.m., you hit the streets that day. If it happens after 2 p.m., you hit the streets the next day. But I expect to see bodies in the streets, and I wish we were just speculating, fanciful talk, rainbows and unicorns. Oh, what unreasonable nutcase would possibly fire the special counsel investigating him? Well, of course, Donald Trump. It's going to happen. I strongly suspect this may happen over the course of this weekend. It is Super Bowl weekend, apparently. I don't care. But that would be just the sort of cover fire that Donald Trump needs to make these sort of firings.
It's cold out right now, man. We got to go on the street when it's cold out.
Yes.
Now, what if he's fired at
Hell, we'll start
2
some
p.m.?
bonfires if we need to, Don, in the streets.
What if Mueller's fired exactly at 2 p.m.? Come on, people will be in the streets no matter what, right?
I would hope so.
We'll go in the streets. I'll go in the streets, man. You want to go in the streets?
I hope it's like the uprising, except I hope the uprising happens in every town, every capital, every rural and urban center. I hope all the people are in the streets everywhere, because this is a reality perhaps that will come to fruition in a matter of days.
Well, perhaps this memo is something to try to hose down that mentality, man, because there's a little possible justification for the firing. It just creates just enough question in some people's minds that would say, well, let's just let this thing play out, instead of, in fact, going into the streets.
Other than giving cover fire to Republicans who are complicit in the collusion and the cover-up thereof, I'm not exactly sure what purpose this will serve, because it's not going to end the investigation. It's not going to destroy the evidence. That only works in Wisconsin when you got partisan hacks on the Wisconsin Supreme Court.
But they got away with it.
Well, yeah, Scott Walker got away with it until now.
Until now.
What if a new attorney general reopened the investigation of the John Doe 2? The evidence has been preserved. There are federal courts that have preserved the evidence.
What's the statute of limitations?
For what? Criminality? I don't care. I never thought Scott Walker was going to prison. I mean, these are campaign finance violations, although some have gone to jail for that, ask Chuck Walla. But I never thought the Wankinator was going to jail. But what
happens if you can't pay a $120 million fine? I'm just wondering. You just close up shop. Hey, sorry, you got
declare bankruptcy, shut down the 501c3, and
set
move
up a
on.
new 501c3, set up a new website. You leave it there. I mean, unless you're, if Club for Growth,
talking about the possible civil forfeiture tickets that Wisconsin Club for Growth would have been subject to, they coordinated over $20 million. And it's a triple doubler, meaning you double the amount and then you triple it punitively. So $20 million becomes a $120 million civil forfeiture fine that Wisconsin Club for Growth, Eric O'Keefe, would have been subject to. No wonder he bought a radio network for Vicki McKenna. He went out to the Wall Street Journal editorial board, went to Matt Kittle at Watchdog.
He became a leaker.
Absolutely. I mean, the kind of leaker you're being today. I mean, the actual sort of leaker where you go against the gag order of the courts. Let's not forget, that's what they did.
Oh, yeah, and then he spent millions of dollars on high-quality attorneys to
David
get in
Rifkin,
front
only the best.
And go, the best defense is a good offense,
Let's not forget the governor of the state of Wisconsin had a criminal defense fund. He spent about $500,000 in his own defense against the criminal underlying things that were being investigated by the John Doe 2. We had David Dininger here today, a former Republican, a judge, a retired GAB board member. And it was unanimous. 6-0. Investigate Walker's corruption. So far, he's gotten away with it.
So far.
Randy, you might just be wrong, but we're hardly ever wrong. We're the Devil's Advocates. It feels so right. Come back with us. 844-967-2789. Air your grievances here.
Nobody loves the Bible more than I do.
Makes you look like an ass is what he does, Ed.
You'll get nothing like it.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I'm not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more. It's a no-brainer. I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Dom and Crute special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean. Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only ordering classic corner tavern.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years. Assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org, or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Rudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local 344.org. Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
My wife and I were traveling through the Rocky Mountains on our Harley, and we stopped to fuel up, and we were making our way out of town when, bam, a Jeep Cherokee turned right into us. We went flying. Our Colorado Rocky Mountain vacation was over.
They made it back to Wisconsin and their injuries healed, but they had expenses that they acquired because of the accident. The experienced attorneys at Lawton & Cates negotiated with the insurance adjuster and recovered a fair financial settlement. If your life is disrupted by an injury or other legal dispute, Lawton & Cates can help you achieve a successful result. Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton & Cates, 282-6200. 282-6200.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton & Cates.
I gotta tell you, so when I first moved to Green Bay to play football in '92, I had never been to Wisconsin. But the funniest thing I thought, you could not buy hamburger patties without a dollop of butter on them.
Folks, just so you know, if you take a little bit of herb butter and put it in the middle of a patty and just kind of mold it around there, you get magic.
I have one of my arteries right now.
How much did you say you weighed?
I'm gaining weight with my thoughts right now.
You're $3 and some change already, brother.
Guns Butter Economics, 414 Wisconsin, weekdays 9 to 11 a.m. on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Judge me by my size, do you? The Devil's Advocates may not agree on much, but funny is funny.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Happy Friday. We air grievances on Friday. This is the last segment of the day, so if you have something to say, now's the time to do it. 844-967-2789.
Dom, talking about airing of the grievances, there's a guy who used to be with the Schimmel Department of Justice. Apparently he was airing more than his grievances on Fridays, according to the Associated Press. I found this at Madison.com. A state Justice Department agent resigned after he allegedly exposed his genitals, or junk if you prefer, at the agency's headquarters, a restaurant, and a party record show.
Look at my penis!
Put that thing away, you're going to get us all killed!
DOJ officials said in December that they received a sexual harassment complaint about Special Agent Brad Montgomery in 2015. He resigned in 2016. But here's an interesting note, Dom. The agency, that's the Department of Justice under Brad Schimmel, hasn't released any details about the complaint or explained why Montgomery resigned.
I have milked him.
USA Today Network Wisconsin reported Thursday that police records show he allegedly exposed his junk in the agency's headquarters and in a Sparta restaurant in January of 2015. He also exposed himself at an off-duty party in October of 2014. Dom, we had an off-duty party last night. I did not see your junk exposed.
I did not ask, nor did I present my penis to anybody.
I find that answer vague and unconvincing.
Department spokesman Johnny Corminos said the agency learned of the incident at the Sparta restaurant early February 2015 and began a internal investigation several weeks after the agency notified the Sparta Police Department. Sparta Police Lieutenant Emily Nusted said some of Montgomery's male and female co-workers were present in the restaurant. The DOJ's internal investigation. He's an equal opportunity offender.
In the restaurant?
Sure. Want to see my junk?
It's a trap.
The DOJ's internal investigation revealed Montgomery. I think Montgomery is the one doing most of the revealing. Also, allegedly exposed himself to male co-workers in department headquarters. Now, that's just weird. The agency referred the incident to the Capitol Police in March of 2015 and put Montgomery on leave. Another agent told investigators the incident at the headquarters happened after a few agents were talking with Montgomery about a 2014 party where he had exposed himself.
Hey, remember when you showed everybody your penis?
Montgomery, the agent said, exposed himself again to refute claims about the size of his junk.
Now,
genitals.
He wasn't saying, no, it's smaller than you say it was. Look, it's way bigger than you said it was.
According to Capitol Police records, Montgomery told investigators he couldn't remember for sure whether he'd exposed his junk to coworkers, but didn't dispute their accounts. He suggested it was all done in jest. He added, "Look at my junk, it's funny." He added he was going through a divorce and called the events leading up to the incident some of his lowest days, according to records.
Crudy, here's a quote from Montgomery. "If they are saying I did that, then that is what I did. I didn't think anything of it at the time."
If you pull your junk out, maybe you should put some forethought into it and not pull your junk out in a public setting, a restaurant, Department of Justice headquarters. Where's the leadership?
Oh, that's Schimmel. He's kicking ass every day.
Show and junk every day. Thank you to all our fine guests today. They included comedian Will Durst, Judge David Denninger, Tom Palzowitz, a candidate for Wisconsin's 5th Congressional District, and former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel. A fine cast.
Thank you, everybody.
A great show.
Who came out last night.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Go Eagles!
I can't. It's too big.
Size matters not.
This is like a piece of lettuce between two buns. Like, what are we even talking about?
It's a trap.
A lot of people should be ashamed of themselves, and much worse than that.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us